Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live, the show that brings you 4 hours of live internet poker. My name's Mark Prince Charles Banin, and alongside me tonight is none other than Dr. Tom himself, and we have a very special guest, and that's Paul McGee from BoylePoker.com. Hi Paul.
Good evening to you.
Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks very much,
Now
Mark.
you're just going to be with us for an hour or so, aren't you?
Thereabouts anyway.
Yeah.
We'll wing it.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so if you've got lots of questions, get them in quick, viewers, because Paul's only going to be with us for an hour, and of course myself and Dr. Tom will take it from there, and we'll be here for right throughout the evening till 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, if you're new to the show, let me give you a quick intro as to what it's all about. The name of the game is called Poker, and the specific game we'll be watching is called Texas Hold'em. Now, in Texas Hold'em, each player gets 2 hidden hole cards and 5 community cards, which everyone can use. You take all 7 cards, make your best 5-card poker hand, and it's the winner. It's the betting that determines who are the winners and who are the losers. There are 4 rounds of betting in between all of that, and that's the point where each player either folds their hand or raises, or they lose a lot of money or win a lot of money. Now, the great thing about the show is it is an interactive show, and there are various ways you can contact myself, Tom, or Paul. The first way is by texting the show, and the way to do that is by texting 84222. Put the word poker into it, and put your question, followed by your name, and myself, Tom or Paul, will be more than pleased to answer. As well as that, you can actually email the show, and the way to email is, you know that email address, it's poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. There it is on your screens. And don't forget to have a look at our website. We've got a tremendous forum on there, lots of interaction and good stuff going on there, www.pokernightlive.co.uk. Now, throughout the course of the evening, we'll be watching cash games and tournaments and multi-table tournaments. So let's see what we've got at our tables tonight. Perhaps, Tom, you can take us through those.
It would be a pleasure. Let's have a look at our wares. Table 1, we've got the 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. There it is. 8 regulars there. Johan Harren, does he go to bed? Does he do anything apart from poker, do you think?
I don't think he's always on there, isn't he?
He's on drip with pizza coming down in diluted form. Table 2, we've got a $5 sit and go. You must be getting used to the setup here on Poker Night Live. There it is, a $5 sit and go. It's just kicked off. Blinds at the first level, 10-20. If you don't know what blinds are, we'll be telling you later. $10 sit and go is table 3. There it is, double the stakes, double the fun, double the heartache when you get bubbled, and possibly double the skill. Who knows? And then finally on table 4, in the manner to which you have become accustomed, it's our multi-table tournament. There's just one of the green tables in this green multiverse of tables, and it's a $5 bounty tournament. And if you don't know what that means, then Mark will be telling you when we come back into view.
Excellent. Right, okay, so there we have it. We'll be talking more about that bounty that Tom was talking about a little later on. However, don't forget that the show is a live show. I'm live, Dr. Tom is live, and Paul McGee's live. The one thing is delayed is the poker, which is delayed by 5 minutes to stop those players turning on their TVs and seeing what each other's hole cards are. So without further ado, let's hop into that multi-table tournament and see how these boys are playing out.
Play a lot of multi-table tourneys, Paul?
I do. I enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
I have different strategies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I do. It depends on the humour, the mood.
The humour?
Yeah.
Your humour?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
It depends. Sometimes I'll make my mind up just before the tournament starts that I might go on the attack, and some other times I might just sit back and sit and not go, hopefully.
And do you stick with the strategy once you've decided on it for the course of the tournament, or do you change gears?
I do change gears, definitely. Absolutely. Depending on how the chip count is going, whether it's time to push on or time to sit. And every so often I'll have a look and see how many players are left as well. And from there I'll make my mind up on what the strategy will be for hopefully the final part of the tournament.
Are you likely to be looser or tighter when you've got yourself chipped up?
It depends where the position that I may be in at the time.
How do you mean position?
Position-wise, I will probably have looked at where I'm positioned in the tournament.
In terms of the size of the chip stack?
The stack, and I'll have a look at that, and if I feel that it's time to push on, that it's time to move and hopefully get nearer the final table. I'll make my mind up on that at that time.
So if you're chip leader, say, are you hanging around just and playing decent cards? Is that
Yeah, I play decent cards, definitely. I won't, definitely won't play any Mickey Mouse cards.
Okay.
But there is that's all relative, isn't it, Tom? There.
Yeah, 7-8.
What he might call Mickey Mouse, I might call a strong hand.
That's right.
It's very true, but it's all relevant. Absolutely. I mean, there are some favourite hands of mine, which a lot of people won't play, obviously, and maybe I might let it out of the cat out of the bag. What some hands I will play and some hands that I don't.
Okay, well, that'd be interesting to see. So we're watching a multi-table tournament, and this one, each player started with 1,500 worth of chips, and the nice thing about this particular one is that they have a $5 bounty. Now, you mentioned this, Tom. I don't know a great deal about this bounty. Perhaps you can explain what it's all about.
Well, I can tell you what generally a bounty tournament is, Mark, and thank you for lumping it onto me, because I can't pass it on to Paul because he's a guest. That would be
well, I'm trying to
unfair.
figure it out as well.
But someone, or possibly some people in this tournament, will have a bounty on their head. And what that means is that if you knock out those players, even if you don't even make the prize money, then you will get some sort of cash sum for bumping them off, as it were. So it's basically a sort of poker form of a contract killing. Have you got details there, Mark?
Well, I've got details suggesting that it's actually a $50 bounty.
Wow.
Knock out one of the SJ Poker team. This is in the freeze-out period. And, the $5, right, okay. I'll just explain what it is. The $5 that we've got there is actually a tournament table, and it's a rebuy tournament table. Once the rebuy period is over, then any one of the SJ Poker team, if you knock one of those out, then you get yourself a $50 bounty.
Oh, wow.
Little bonus.
Yeah, a little bonus. That'll be nice.
Terrific. I mean, that would be probably as good as maybe fourth prize.
Yeah, and as we can see, we've got one there, SJ Poker Team 7. So he's got a little bounty on his head. So that's worth $50 if someone knocks him out.
And does that mean that these boys, if they lose their chips in the rebuy period, they're pretty much beholden to the tournament to buy back in again, so they can be, as it were, available to be knocked out in the freeze-out period?
Yeah, absolutely. What it basically means is that when you get a rebuy period, it allows you to extend your tournament play. So if you have aces against kings and the guy happens to hit a king on you, it doesn't mean that your tournament life is necessarily over, even if you've lost all your chips. You can have another shot at it and basically rebuy back into that tournament, hence the idea of a rebuy tournament. Of course, some people do take it to extend to different extents, and what they'll do is they'll just keep going all in for a small amounts in a hope to try and accumulate chips. Not meant in the true spirit of a rebuy tournament. It is meant to be just a way of you getting back in. However, people do abuse that nowadays, and they just keep going mad in the rebuy period in order to try and accumulate chips, a cheap way, but not necessarily the most profitable way. How do you like playing these sort of rebuy tournaments, Tom?
I love them, and anyone who's prepared to abuse the tournament by playing like a muppet is welcome in any rebuy tournament I'm playing in.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
It's going to be interesting to see if we get any of these SJ Poker boys at the final, because there's going to be an interesting sort of calculation players have got to make about whether they should go in against one of these guys, maybe with not a great hand, but knowing that if they get lucky and knock them out, then they not only accumulate chips, but they also get that special flat rate bounty. So there's a lot to be said for going in against these boys if you've got them covered. If you've got one more chip than them, it makes a huge difference. If you've got one less chip, all that you'll do there is weaken them for someone else. But I'll be fascinated to see what decisions people are making later.
Yeah, it certainly should influence you, shouldn't it? So that's interesting, and perhaps we'll take a look at those prizes in a moment and see what prizes are up on offer for these guys. In the meantime, as I said, we're watching a $5 rebuy tournament, and we'll be sticking with this just for a few minutes longer, and then we'll hop over to either a single table tournament or a cash game. We'll see. Now, while we're watching this tournament, let me give you some information about a new show that's going to be on tomorrow. And tomorrow night on Poker Night Live, we're actually going to be bringing you games from a new site called Purple Lounge. And it's going to be a new site, which, and for the very first tournament, they're actually doing a free roll tournament, Tom, where the prize on offer is going to get, well, this is only one prize as far as I know, there might be some smaller prizes, but certainly the first prize is going to be $1,800 worth of fine wine. So dare I say that you'll be entering this, Tom?
Do you have me down as a fine wine connoisseur?
I do, actually, yeah.
No, mate, I'm lager and prawn cocktail crisps, believe me. You got me all wrong.
No, I remember the days when one of our neighbours used to be around in a building and used to go there and sort of help yourself.
Ah, those neighbours.
Those neighbours.
The girls.
Those neighbours, indeed. You know which neighbours I'm talking about, Tom.
Yeah.
There's too many details going out here now, Mark.
I'll tell you what, when the batteries run out in your mic, sometimes it's fine. No, you've got me all wrong there, Mark. I'm not a fine wine connoisseur at all.
Oh, okay. So you won't be playing then?
No, I'll flog it on eBay. Yeah, of course I'm playing.
So that's tomorrow night, so that should be interesting to see how that one plays out. And if you want any more details on that, just hop onto the forum, have a look under the shows thread, and I believe there's some info on that special tournament that's on tomorrow. That's Wednesday.
Is there info on the wine? I mean, you know, what is fine wine? If it's Le Pierre d'Or, I mean, it depends on, it's all relative, isn't it, Mark? I mean, what they think is fine wine might not be what, say, you know, Barry Martin thinks is fine wine. Do you drink fine wine, Paul?
No, I just drink white wine. I'm a white wine man. I can't really get into the red wine at all. My other half now loves the red wine, but if we're out for a meal, she'll join me in the white wine. Very kind of her, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah. So saves me a few quid.
Well, interesting here from SJ. He's decided just to limp in with his ace-9. So he's up against two players, so it's not too bad for him. It's pretty good now, though, because he's hit top pair and he's got someone else with top pair with worse kicker. So Loomis might see this as an opportunity to knock him out, but it's not that good an opportunity, is it?
Well, there's no bounty yet, of course.
Oh, no, of course, that's after the rebuy period, isn't it? Quite right, yeah.
But Loomis might be trying to soften him up. Yeah, looking pretty ropey, unless a 3 or, of course, a 6 there for the Miracle Straight for Loomis comes down. What's I mean, this is an ongoing debate we have on Poker Night Live, Paul. What do you consider to be a small ace?
Anything under from 9 down. That's the way I play it.
10 is just
ace
about
10.
there.
Ace 10 will do me. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Ace 9. I suppose it's everything is a matter of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ace 10 just gives you that, just something. I think it's mental.
Is it because it's a pip higher, or is it because you can make a straight, or is it both?
I think it is definitely both, because you can make it straight. You definitely can't make it straight, well, unless the card's in the flop and the turn, the river, with Ace 9.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a better chance, obviously, of making a straight with the Ace 10, and it is a pip, that little bit higher. And 10, I always like playing Ace 10, I must say.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's it's what. Oh, look, 2 10s on the board there. That's what a lot of people think. I mean, I personally find Ace Jack makes me feel a bit queasy, but I appreciate I'm probably being a bit tight.
Well, I tell you what, I hate playing. I hate playing a pair of jacks. Again, it's just in the mind. I don't know whether maybe I've been beaten on them a few times. More than likely, it sticks in the brain. But I don't particularly like, having a massive bet, going all in a pair of jacks.
They do breed insecurity, jacks, don't they?
I don't know why. Why though? Why? I mean, I actually sometimes prefer a pair of 10s, even though it's a little a notch down.
I think they're
but
one
again,
of these
it's in the mind.
They're one of these hands, aren't they, Paul, where it's a hand that is a little bit harder to get away from, whereas a pair of 10s, pair of 9s, pair of 8s are easy to get away from.
You will definitely, you fold.
Yeah,
you will fold. A
jacks,
pair of jacks, you see colour on the table. There's nothing better when you're in a position that maybe you're going well in a tournament, or maybe you're struggling in a tournament, and you need to try and double up. I think a pair of jacks will half excite you. Won't excite you as much as a pair of kings, the cowboys. But it's very difficult to get away from them.
Yeah.
We're having a look. There's another pair of jacks there.
Yeah.
Everything's relative, of course. You've got a load of chips. Even queens can sometimes look a little bit iffy. Or likewise, if you've got hardly any chips, then jacks.
Depends.
It's just a push, isn't it?
Yeah, it just depends. I suppose again, confidence. It's amazing confidence, even though you're playing on the net. Confidence can help you in the decision that you make at that time. If you're really motoring and everything is going in your favour, you'll have a right go at a pair of jacks or a pair of queens. But if you're God, I can't win a hand at this, let them go. Sometimes, if it's a decision to which you're going to be knocked out of the tournament, or you're not going to get to the final table, because it's amazing how many people come from a long way behind in tournament play, in a multi-table tournament play. They could be down to very few chips, and just one treble through or quadruple through, whatever, can just bring you a bit of confidence. And next minute, up pops the pair of aces.
You get your rush, yeah.
Then you get your rush. It's amazing the way it can change. But I think confidence plays a hell of a part in the decision that you're going to make at that particular time and where you are in the tournament. That's the way I look at it anyway.
And in answer to your question, actually, Tom, I've just remembered, no, he's not the first Irishman we've had. We had Kevin O'Connell on.
So we did.
Yeah, I was on with Kevin a few weeks back, so yeah, that was a good lot of fun. We didn't want to go, he wanted to stay on. Yeah, I was on with Joe Beavers, and Joe left after a couple of hours, and Kevin wanted to stay, so it was good fun. He's a good lad, Kevin.
Yeah, I met Joe in January. We had the big Irish Poker Championship, and so it was massive, big team over. It was great. It was exciting, and you can just see the way it's come on in Ireland with the casinos and live cash games and major tournaments.
Yeah.
And it's just taken off. It's taken off in pubs. I mean, you can see there's good money to be made if you're hanging around just even some of the small towns in Ireland. They are running good tournaments.
Yeah, and Ireland's produced quite a good few players, hasn't it?
Absolutely,
Lots really of good players. We've had Poker Million winner Donica.
Yeah, Donica. I know Donica
very good player. We've got some very good young up and coming players. Rory.
Kieran Walsh, Flipper Walsh, who won the poker.com the Irish Championship. He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant, and it was great to see. There was a lot of competition, a lot of top players played in that, and it ended up between two young Irish fellas going head to head. Heads up. It was really good, very exciting, and it would actually, when you were there, and I got that comment from a lot of people who were doing a little bit of reporting on it, when they actually saw the way the cards were being played and the tension at some of the tables, they really got into it as well. Reporters that would never have seen it before. So it's interesting the way other people are picking it up as well. Yeah. The excitement. You have to be there. It's like a lot of events. You have to be there to actually, I suppose, see how it runs and get the feel for it. But there was no doubt about it. The tension at some of the tables, and when the big hands, when a couple of people went all in. I mean, they were all over there, and I could see the reporters going over and seeing what was happening. It's amazing.
It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Live poker generally is a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big.
It's a lot more fun than dancing around your living room when you're
you still go. Yes,
absolutely. It still has a lot of fun. Well, we've got our first email of the day, guys, and just before I read it out, let me give you a quick reminder of how you can get in contact with the show. Don't forget, Paul's only with us for the next half an hour or so, so if you want to contact myself, Paul or Dr. Tom, here's the ways to do it. The first way of doing it is by texting the show. You can do that by texting the number 84222. Text the word poker and your information. As well as that, you can email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. So here's the email we've got, and this is from Peter. Thanks very much for your email, Peter. And he's saying, Dear Mark, Tom and Paul, I apologise for emailing on a pro night as I'm just a beginner. Oh, isn't he sweet? He doesn't want to disturb us on a pro night. It's okay, Paul, it's not a problem. Peter, rather. I'm just a beginner, but I've been sorely vexed recently by a statistic that presenters often quote, namely, you will on average hit the flop 1 in 3 times. Absolutely correct. 2 to 1, isn't it?
2 to 1 to
Yeah.
catch a pair.
Yeah, okay. I've been playing online for exactly 1 year, following the advice you give, and I finally, in the last month, made a small profit, coming first, second and fifth on 5 occasions in small stakes multi-table tourneys, reaching the small money often. But this is in spite of the statistics quoted above. I've kept copied records, and I'm lucky if I hit the flop 1 in 5 times, and it is usually well above this. Now, I'm either incredibly unlucky but a brilliant player, or more likely I've not understood the concept of hitting the flop 1 in 3 times. Could you give a more detailed explanation of what you mean? I'll cut it at that point. Perhaps you can just explain the statistic is pretty straightforward, isn't it? At the end of the day, you'll be 1 in 3 to hit a pair. Now, that doesn't matter whether it's small bottom pair, middle pair, or top pair. In other words, 2 to 1 odds, 1 in 3 times.
Yeah, if you take
that.
2 random cards from the deck and deal out 3 random cards on the flop, then believe me, the chance of you catching a pair or better is 1 in 3. A couple of things that occurred to me that might twist those statistics are if you are tending to play, for example, pocket pairs and throwing away cards like ace-10, then of course you're not going to catch in the flop very often because it's much harder to turn a pair into trips. So that is one possibility. Yeah, another one is, of course, if you're tend to play in multi-way pots with something like an ace card, say an ace-10, then in a multi-way pot, then there's a good chance that some of the aces will be in your opponent's hands. So if that's a situation you are tending to get yourself into, that again will sway the statistics. Believe me, if you start playing 7-8, you're going to catch a lot of flops, isn't that right, Mark?
Yeah, you'll catch a lot of flops, and you end up winning a lot of times. Absolutely.
You get hammered a lot of times as well.
Oh, not with 7-8 though, Paul. Not with 7-8. I know you're new to the show, but you'll know the strengths of 7-8 as we progress throughout the show. He goes on to say, you do not need to refer to this one. No, okay. Can I also ask you that when you give out these statistics, you sometimes quote, if possible, where they can be sourced, as don't often get the opportunity to come around and lever off the tops of your heads and delve about for them. Thank you for your help and have given me over the past year. Well, you're welcome, Peter. Hope it carries on going well for you. Most of these stats you can find on any Google search that you do. If you have a look under Google, type out odds, poker calculations, you should get something that gives you an idea. There's usually a variation of websites, quite an extent of websites that will give you that info. So good hunting there. And if there's anything specific you want to ask in terms of odds, just ask myself, Dr. Tom, or whichever presenter happens to be on. I'm sure we'll have the stats just off the top of our heads for you. So in the meantime, I think it's time we head back to a cash game that we have for you lined up. So let's see how these boys are playing. And there we have it. This is a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. In other words, $50 is the maximum buy-in for this, $5 is the minimum buy-in, or anything in between. There are 8 people sitting down, and unlike a tournament, you can come and go as you please. You can, as long as you have got money in front of you, you can play, and as long as there's a free seat, you can sit down. How does cash games differ from a multi-table tournament, would you say, Paul?
I think you're probably a little bit more careful once you get into a cash game. You're playing with real money, whereas you know, for instance, if you buy into, I mean, it's quite obvious, once you buy into a multi-table tournament, there's no more you can lose apart from your buy-in or rebuy if you're playing a rebuy tournament.
So it's limited risk?
Yeah, it's limited risk in a multi-table tournament. Again, it is limited risk depending on what level you want to play at in the cash games. You know yourself, there's a minimum buy-in, there's a maximum buy-in, and if, say for instance, you've gone to the maximum on this, for instance, this table here, it's up to yourself if you want to buy in again and buy more chips. It's really up to yourself. And the higher denominations, yes, you're getting into the serious games, and you're going to meet some really, really good players.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting what you were saying there, Paul, because thinking about it, tournaments, not only is the risk limited, which is important unlike a cash game, but it's also assured. Once you buy into a tournament, you must risk that money. You can't say, well, I've made $1, I've got to go. And I think probably humans play best under those conditions when they're put in a situation of certain risk. They can't dodge the risk, but they know the size of it. So they say, I'm in this for 50 quid, and at some point I've got to risk my chips because if I play like a coward, I'm going to get knocked out. Whereas
Absolutely.
in a cash game, you can unfortunately indulge your own cowardice.
You know, and I couldn't agree with you more, Tom. I think a lot of people are realising that as well online, that the multi-table tournaments are exciting. Again, it's the mindset. You know what you've risked at the outset. Unless it's a rebuy tournament, personally, I prefer the freeze out, because it gives you a strategy on you're playing a real game. Whereas a lot of people, as you were saying a little earlier on, a lot of people were, they're shoving in, and they're going rebuy. Yes, sometimes it's great depending on what cards you have.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
They're playing like Muppets.
Yeah, but I just prefer the challenge of a freeze out.
Yeah, it's a better game.
Yeah, it's a better game. It's a challenge. And again, as I said at the outset, at the top of the programme, I'll make my mind up just minutes beforehand whether it's a night to, I think I'll attack tonight, or I've got plenty of time. I'll sit back and see what the cards, what way they drop. I must say I like of all the tournaments, I like the multi-table tournaments freeze out. That's my favourite.
That is the pièce de resistance of sort of entertaining poker.
Yeah, it's entertaining. I must say it's entertaining, and I mean I've played live game in Las Vegas, and that was exciting. Made a few dollars out of it. Was even more exciting.
That certainly helps.
It was a tournament. It was a tournament, the daily tournament. The way, I mean, I've been lucky enough. I've been going to Vegas for, I suppose, the guts of 20 years. I think the first time I went, it was about 20 years ago, and I've seen it change drastically. It has gone a little bit more expensive, but it's a wonderful city if you want entertainment, of course, at any time. It doesn't matter. 4 o'clock in the morning, you can sit down and go and have a game of poker. You can have a limit game. Even the big hotels, you can sit down and have your 2-4. You can have your 3-6, and then you go on to the bigger tables. There's no problem whatsoever. It's up to you, and it's like everything in Vegas. If you want to spend money, you can, big time. If you want to enjoy yourself, you can. Go to the shows, come back, play a small game, limit table, play for a few hours, have a few beers, go to bed. You're still happy. You have that challenge. There's always a challenge there. And every day now, there's daily tournaments in all the big hotels. You see the queues. People, it could be 120 runners, 130 runners in the morning tournament. Then there'll be an afternoon tournament, and you can, buy in for $60. Thereabouts, pick up $2,000 if you get to the, if you win it.
Incredible to change, isn't it, over the last few years? I mean, a lot of these places didn't even have poker rooms.
No, they didn't have
most
poker
of them
rooms.
Didn't.
No, they didn't
and
have.
Now
them.
all of a sudden every single one's practically got one.
Dedicated and beautifully set up, really well done. The dealers are really helpful. If you get to the final table, you make sure you do look after the dealers. It was my first time to experience the big change in Vegas. I was there in February, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I tried a few different poker houses. And I saw the new one in Caesar's Palace. They've changed that. It's absolutely gorgeous, really, and well run, and as the majority are. But I played in the MGM and in Caesar's Palace, 2 beautiful poker rooms, and well packed. I mean, that was in February. Okay, it was around Super Bowl as well. It was a very, very busy time. But I think any time is a busy time in Las Vegas at the moment. It's a super place to go. And it's up to you. It really is up to you what you want to do. If you want to play a game of poker at a certain level, you can do that live in Vegas now. Years ago, you couldn't do that, really. If you want to go to the shows, you don't want to get into you stay in, obviously all the hotels are casinos. But if you want to go to the shows are just incredible. Yes, they're expensive, but you're seeing the best entertainment probably in the world. Go to the shows. You don't have to play the poker. You don't have to play roulette. You don't have to play blackjack. It's up to you. It is actually up to you. Where I've seen the expense growing is, in the food. As food used to be cheap, there were always offers to bring you in, and so that has drained away a little bit, and they've gone for a different kind of clientele. But you can still get the cheap and cheerful as well. but it's just such an exciting city. Even the free gigs, you know, go and listen. If you want to go and listen to a bit of music, go into a good bar, and some of the talent that's there is just amazing. I know we're getting away from a bit of poker, talking about poker a little bit, but just that excitement would actually make you, after maybe having a few beers, having a bit of music, go back to your hotel. There's a game on. Sure, I might as well sit down for 2 or 3 hours and play a limit game. If you want to play a limit game, play a no-limit game.
And there's a lot of variety, isn't there, Paul? I mean,
Huge.
I was in LA recently, and I was staying at the Commerce, or not staying at the Commerce, but playing at the Commerce, and the amount of variety of tournaments, games, is just incredible. I mean, they've got, you know, it's absolutely incredible.
And all
the variation.
computerised as well, Mark. It's all computerised. You go up there and you just give your name, your first name. You don't have to give your surname or anything. Just Paul M or whatever, and they'll give you the call because that's the way it is. There's waiting. It's amazing.
It's all on the computer.
It's waiting. It's all on the computer. You're given your shout. Go to table. Boom. Then you go, and they're over to you straight away. Brilliant service. Get your chips.
Yeah.
Drink.
One of the good things I found that I really liked about LA, and I don't think you've probably not come across it, Tom, because I've only seen it there, and it wasn't even in Vegas in most of the places. But a lot of the tables there had automatic shufflers underneath the table.
Yeah.
You've seen those?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So that I found very good. They speeded the game up nicely. There was less delay. It means, you know, especially for tournaments, you can get a lot more hands in the rounds, and it made the structure a lot better. Rather than just waiting for the dealer to do it, he just pops the button, puts one card in, one pack in, takes the other one out, and off we go. Yeah,
I did play in a few places with that. I actually prefer the dealer dealing. It again, I don't know whether it's to the eye or the mindset, but my preference is the actual deal. But there's no question about it. It speeds it up. You know, it is time consuming. You know, when they're shuffling those cards, getting them ready. You know, peeling one off and stuff like that.
Brain numbing as well, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's probably wearing on the dealer. It's very, very much wearing on the dealer. But that's what they're paid for, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's why they're good, and they do get looked after. You know, if you get to the final table, usually the final table look after them quite well.
Yeah. What in your view, Paul, is the makeup of a good poker player? What do poker players nowadays need to be like? For a new, you know, for some of our players that are out there.
The majority. Probably the word fearless. I would probably fearless would be the word to best describe it. And you see it, really good players. They can be fearless, but they're very sensible at the same time. It's a peculiar. The
name
mix.
Andy Black certainly comes to mind when you mention fearless.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you look with Andy. Probably, I mean, I know he made a good killing last year, but at one stage he was so far ahead in the chip lead. I mean, that obviously probably grates on you as well, that he had so many good cards. It was a killer for him. Sometimes if you're in that position, you nearly said, I don't want anything. I don't want anything here. It can happen that you actually get to a point when you have so many chips, and in a racing parlance, you're home and hosed. You know you're going to be heads up or near enough heads up, but all of a sudden, what do you do when you get a pair of kings? You got to play them.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to throw them away. But it seemed to happen that Andy kept getting unbelievable cards. Fellas were calling him, and
he was cleaning up.
He was getting rivered out or whatever. You know, it's amazing. He getting cleaned out, and all of a sudden, I think he had something like 10 million at one stage, or even a little
he had a
bit
lot
more.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe that within a certain amount of hands that he was going right down.
And he takes 2 or 3 key pots like that, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Key pots,
Amazing.
Timing. Excellent. Well, thanks very much for your views on that, Paul. Shall we head back to a cash game that we were watching a moment ago? We shall indeed. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's interesting hearing your views on that, Paul. Are you going down to the World Series this year?
No, I wish I was. I'm going to Vegas in October, but there's a special reason why I'm going to Vegas in October. I'll leave it till then.
Okay. So we're back in watching this 25 cent, 50 cent cash game, $50 maximum buy-in, $5 minimum buy-in. You can see a full table here, and Let's see what happens in this particular hand. Right, well, we've got the 3-4. He's now got to pick himself up a flush draw. Will he bet it? He should do, shouldn't he? Well, he's picked it up. He's won it anyway. I think he had an opportunity there to perhaps get a bit more value into this pot, build a pot a little bit with his bet.
I'm surprised you said that, Mark. I don't think I'd bet in a four-way pot with that board.
No.
We had a pair of sixes
Well, there is a
on
paired
the board.
board there,
to
yeah,
see.
you're possibly
paired
right.
on the board.
Just that he's had it checked twice to him, Tom, that's all, that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And the pot is so small, even if you hit your flush, you're not going to hit anything.
I know what you're saying. It's just a number of opponents. I mean, it heads up, sure, but
Yeah,
I'm a bit worried.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Tom. I mean, it's obviously there's a pair of sevens, but he's been clever. He's obviously sorted that out.
Yeah, see,
But it is very difficult when you see that, you see a pair of sixes. One of the players could easily have a six there and just slow play it. When I was watching,
but it's better to know that point, isn't it? Isn't it better to know on the turn rather than on the river when you've made your flush?
Well, if I make my flush on the river, I'm going to assume it's good for at least a bet, and then if I get raised, then I'll think about it. But
yeah.
I'm not going to worry about arriving at the river, terrified that my flush might not be the best hand. I can cope with that if I get raised on the river. I just don't want to be raised off my draw by reopening the betting on the button when I could see a free river card.
Oh, interesting. I tend to play my weaker draws a little more strongly nowadays. The stronger draws, if I had an ace-high flush or something, then I might not do that. But I think with a weaker draw like that, whereas it's not a particularly strong hand anyway, there's a good chance I'm not going to hit it. I want to get the money in. I want to try and win it before anyone. And if I don't, then at least I'm possibly building the pot for when I do win it. Get a bit more money in there, especially if the pot was only $2. It means I'm not going to get a lot of value even if I do hit it, which is a little bit worrying.
Yeah, you do lose your implied odds because, I mean, when you catch your club there on the river, it's difficult to get paid, as we saw there. But
yeah.
I think that's not the reason why I'm betting. I don't bet there just because I don't want to be raised. I think I might well be raised.
Well, bottom pair for Paul, and he's decided to have a little bet, and Ice to Fear is saying, let's see what kind of hand you've got. And he says, not a lot.
End of that.
Yeah, made that nice and simple, and that was probably the right move there from Eyes. He needs to find out whether he's the guy's on betting his draw or whether he's got some part of that flop, and he just answered him. Yeah, very little.
Interesting to see Blair Aldo there, just straight away with the bet, 50 cent into him. He straight away folded the ace. Any hesitation. He has it again now, interestingly enough.
Yeah, and we've got an ace-king against him, and Johan, who's a bit of a mover and a shaker at times. Let's see if... well, he's betting from early-ish position, so I don't think there'll be... there
would be too much action there.
No, he probably doesn't want to play an ace-9. It doesn't make a lot of hands, does it, Tom? Ace-9, such a horrible hand, isn't it? Such a nasty hand.
It's got to make two pair ready, and then even 9, even then... When you make two pair with a bad ace, every now and then you run into a better two pair.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned that a little earlier on, Tom. I mean, I won't play an ace-9, but I will play the ace-10.
So I don't normally play an ace-jack, but against you now, Paul, I will.
Yeah, but you need to find out who I am.
Well, Paul has got Jack 3 suited. He's still got a lot of players behind him, 4 players behind him. I'd probably throw it away too. I wouldn't be throwing this one away though, personally.
No.
You two maniacs. Look at you raising it up between you.
Yeah, absolutely. Ace-10, you're just too tight, Tom.
Well, there's our
Far
old
too
favourite
tight.
ace-9 again. It'd be interesting to see what he does
You're listening
now.
to that James Browning, I think.
I'm playing the sit and go, of course, tonight, so we can see whether I put my principles in practice.
Having said that, Tom, you weren't that tight when we played our game on that table that time.
What game was that?
I didn't think you were that.
When you got lucky against me with the quads?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, king queens are raising hands sometimes.
Well, we see a bit of...
That's what you had at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Might see a bit of action here.
There it is, king queen. In the cutoff. Got to be a
The
raise.
land of the unraised pot. So you didn't listen to James, did you? You started betting away with it.
That's elementary stuff. I've moved long beyond that.
Well, this is an interesting scenario. We've got a couple of overcards with an inside straight draw against what is in effect third pair. So, wow, he's folded it, Tom.
King Queen. Well, he's behind. What a player!
I think that would have been, I would have been check raising him in that situation. I wouldn't have been folding.
Overcards in the gut shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How comfortable can he be with a board like that?
Your opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Reasonable logic.
We have our ace 9 out again. I think there'll be a few players playing this hand, I would think.
Are you of the school that that you limp with small or medium pocket pairs, Paul? The sort of textbook limping.
I would, again, it depends on my position. If I'm playing a multi-table tournament, Tom, I would, in the position, say for instance, I'm looking to double up. There's only one thing I'll do.
And what's that? Push.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, look at this. Nut flush draw versus a set. And Folly looking a bit sickly. He's got no outs.
Well, he's going to see. He's going to be called anyway.
Yep, for sure. The implied odds are huge. Both of them got plenty of chips. Now,
he's thinking about it now, you see.
I was going to say, can Pigeon check it and get a bluff
Yeah.
from a busted flush draw? No.
I wonder whether had Pigeon have made it something like 250.
He might have prompted
he might
the
have
move.
prompted him to re-raise him.
Yeah.
Possibly. Difficult though, isn't it? Difficult. Because he bet half the pot there, didn't he? So it made it a bit more difficult for Miss Chippy to try it.
Not allowed out here.
No, there isn't, is there? It just shows you, doesn't it, Paul, how often you get sort of strong hands against each other. You see a whole lot of rubbish, don't you?
Oh, it's
a lot of the time.
incredible. I was playing the other night and I've never seen anything like it. There was 4 pairs out. It was just incredible, and I think out of there was one player that had quite a low chip, so he actually had the low pair as well at the same time, and he went all in, and the others all called. It wasn't that many chips at the time because he was the low chip man, but it was amazing to see all popping
All 4
up,
pairs, yeah.
all four pairs coming up.
So I see from the literature that's fallen on my desk, there's this big tournament in Ireland, Paul, the Boyle
Yes.
Poker million, is it dollars,
Up to a
euros?
million euro the estimated prize fund. Is the BoylePoker.com Irish Poker Tour Grand Final. There's been, satellites and super satellites all around the country. Of course, you can win a seat online as well. There's feeder tournaments and daily tournaments as well that you get there. There's going to be a charity event as well. It's the 1st to 5th of June, so it's really exciting. It's in the City West Hotel, which is a wonderful venue. It's just superb. It's where they played the snooker. They used to play the Irish Snooker Championship there. But of course, that's not being played at the moment. But it is a wonderful, wonderful venue. And we had the Irish BoylePoker.com Irish Poker Championship there as well. Massive field, and hopefully it's going to be a big field again. Obviously, many players have already qualified because they've won satellites to get to the super satellite, and then the people have won seats online. But we're looking forward to it that some of the big players will be there.
I'm sure there will be.
Well, especially for that kind of estimated prize fund, I would think many of the top players will be there. Of course, from Britain as well. There'll be many people over.
And when is it?
It's the 1st to the 5th of June.
1st to the 5th of June.
Yeah, Thursday the 1st is the sort of the charity event, and then the real deal gets underway. And of course, there's other tournaments as well with prize funds if you get knocked out of the main event. There'll be other little buy-ins as well.
And the cash action, of course.
Yeah, plenty. Sitting goals. I'll have to say while I was quite busy in January at the Irish Poker Championship, I sat down usually quite late when everything was cooling down a bit, and I sat down and played a few sit-and goals, which was good. It's great because they knew who I was and they knew I was sitting in, and it did no good at all. So they murdered me altogether. Finished fourth actually in the first. Of course, first three get paid at the table, 10 sitting down. First three get paid, but I finished fourth twice in a row. So I got nothing out of it, but I enjoyed it. It was good, and I had a bit of interaction with some of the lads that got knocked out, or some of the fellas that didn't even play in it, but just in watching the big players playing, and that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to play sit and goes. They didn't want to get into in some of the freeze outs, or they didn't want to be playing for 6, 7, 8 hours. They wanted to sit and go, and a lot of that business has been done. It's amazing to see how many sit and go tables people are at different levels as well. It could be €100 buying, it could be 200, it could be a little bit higher than that. Sit and goes, money is there. People are...
Well, they're very important nowadays in make-up for most tournaments. Every decent tournament I go to, there's always a lot of sit-and-go action.
Yeah. And it's such a change, isn't it? A few years ago, you didn't get that at all. Maybe
No.
you get a sit-and-go satellite, but a sit-and-go take the money is unheard of a few years
ago.
ago.
Was there a lot in Reno, Tom, where you went?
Yeah, wall-to-wall, constantly. That's what everyone wanted to play, basically.
Yeah. And it's happening a lot now. In any of the major tournaments, it's, the sit-and-goes big time. You'll see the queues. It's amazing to see the queues, and you'll see people going over and say, "Is there any action coming up?" I mean, I've got 2 other lads outside, or well, I have 3 other names, so that gives us 6, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the 10 at the table. In you go, sit down, look after the dealer, and play, and hopefully you can, it's a nice little prize.
Bob's your uncle. The trouble with the sit and goes at the festivals, I don't know if you've had this experience, but when you go somewhere, and the thing with the sit and go is the bubble is really severe in a sit and go in the way that it isn't in a multi-table. And you get, and maybe there's 3 locals and there's you, and suddenly when everyone's a bit short stacked, they're all folding to each other's bets, and you're getting your bet called. You know you're going to get your bet called, and even if they're not colluding at some level, you kind of think they are, and it spoils the experience for me. And
I've never come across that.
Really? Well, I did one. I mean, one of the tables I sat down on, there was certainly 4 very good friends sitting down. I suppose you could say they probably never took each other on either.
Oh, yeah, and that's
makes
all the difference, doesn't it?
Of course it does. That means somebody's going to have chips. Now, whether they've done a little deal before going in, they could have easily. But who's to say that? But they were all friends. But in the majority of times, it was very light-hearted. And if you lost the hand or you're rivered out of it, and you'd say, what you like to say, but it just, so another game, let's get into it. But it was very light-hearted. Even though you're paying for real money, it was actually quite light-hearted. It was good, very, very enjoyable. I really enjoyed it, interacting with the actual players. It was probably unfortunate it was quite late at night, but just enjoyed and relaxed.
Well, it's a great thing, and that's why poker has taken off so much, isn't it? Because there's a lot of interaction, and it's a real social game, isn't it?
Hugely. Yeah. I mean, as I said, we're talking about Vegas earlier on. I mean, I made more friends, if you want to call them, just passing friends, because they hear your accent straight away. Where are you from? So that's the conversation started. A lot of ladies playing. I mean, I don't know many. There was let's say there was 100+ runners. There were certainly probably 15% at least, if not 20%, there was ladies playing there. And you're talking about that's 11 o'clock in the morning, or you could play 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And by God, can they all play? They're real players. They're the people that are living in Las Vegas. They come in, they enjoy themselves, and you ended up getting that kind of conversation. I'm retired, but the man might be only mid-40s or 50s. Yeah. He's retired. He's coming in, having a bit of fun, relaxing, having a beer.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's lovely. Nice way to go on, isn't it?
Well, it's been great having you on the show, Paul. We're about to head into our break, which means that you're off onto different pastures.
Don't say too much. You have to be very careful, Mark.
But it's been great having you on the show. Thank
you very much. I really enjoyed it.
And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Lovely. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you.
Well, we'll see you after this. Don't go too far away. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark Prince Charles Banin, and Dr. Tom, the one and only. Now, Tom, I believe you're going to be playing Beat the Presenter tonight.
Yes, I am, Mark.
Yeah. Is there a bounty on your head? Talking about bounties?
No, there's no bounty on my head, so please be gentle with me.
Yeah, okay, cool. So Tom's going to be the main man that you're going to be watching out for tonight, so be gentle with him, as he says. And let me give you a reminder of how you can contact the show and how you can get in touch with us. Now, there are two ways you can do it. You know how to do it. 84222 is the first way. That's the text number. Send the word poker, followed by your question, followed by your name, and myself and Dr. Tom will read it here live on air and answer all and every one of your questions. As well as that, you can email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. There it is on your screen. And if you get a chance, have a look at our website, www.pokernightlive.co.uk. We've got a great forum on there. I've been known to post the odd post, so certainly if you have any questions that you'd like to contact any one of the presenters about, some of us are on there some of the time, so you can always do that if you don't get a chance to tonight. In the meantime, Tom's going to be playing his sit and go tournament, and I'm going to give you my views on, let's see, what should we go for today? Shall we have a look at the multi-table tournament, or should we go for a sit and go? Let's go for a sit and go, and then we'll pop back into the multi-table later. So this one is a $10 tournament we've got here. It's a single table tournament. They've just kicked off. As you can see, everyone's got 1,000 in chips, and should be interesting. So we have Miss V, regular player on here. Quite a few new names that I haven't seen before. So be interesting to see how these guys play it out. So we've got a couple of limpers, King Queen limping. One of James's favourite hands, King Queen, and the land of the unraised pot and all that. Well, King Queen's hit that top pair. He likes that. Nothing much for anyone, so I don't think he's going to get any challenges. Well, Kovacs has picked up a nice hand. What's he going to do with it? Well, he's playing it pretty straightforward. He's made it 3 times the big blind. He's not going to get many takers. Miss V might have a little look, see if she can catch a miracle with 10-9. Well, she's picked up the kind of hand that she's after. Hopefully she'll keep this cheap, because otherwise she could, yeah, and now he's just going to re-raise. No, he doesn't. Well, Kovacs is playing this either very sneaky or he's a bit worried. Would have liked to have seen a raise there from Kovacs. And he didn't need to. He got all Vot's money. And... well, Vot's the first one to go out, and that's the way she tends to like to play. She does play quite aggressive early on. I've noticed that before in 1 or 2 of her games. Likes to try and accumulate chips, takes a few more chances on draws, and of course, had Kovacs not had those aces, she might have got away with it, and she often does get away with it by that play, but not on this occasion. Kovacs had a very strong hand. He wasn't going to let it go, and he pretty much knew where he was. He probably figured... Vot for a jack. In fact, she didn't have that. She'd have hit 9.
If you're on table Nicholson, please leave seat 7 free so I can get myself in. Oh, I can't. Someone else is in. I might be joining you in the commentary. Mark, I'm just waiting for a sit and go with a slow structure to start.
Okay, well, maybe one of those guys will leave, Tom, for you. But it's worth keeping your eye on it just in case one of them does leave.
Well, they all want the value of playing against me, don't they? You know you're a value player, Mark, when everyone wants you to sit down. Yeah, it's all right. There's someone who's coming in.
Well, they're trying to leave seats for you, Tom. So we've got Stevie72 of the Ace Jack. What's he going to do? He's got 4 people behind him. And, well, he said, I'm just going to stick my chips in. to nick the 30. Wow. Very aggressive play there from Stevie. I'm not sure that's a good play, really, because he's putting in 440 to win 30. So I don't like that play, really, because, Stevie, the only person that's going to call you is someone with a better hand. You're not going to get many people calling you with a worse hand.
I'm in, but I'm masquerading under Michelle's handle, because I still can't get into my own account, which is why it's got so much money in it.
It's the only one with any money, isn't it?
No, Michelle's got loads of money. She came second last night.
Oh, okay. Last night?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very good. In what tournament did she play?
Can't remember what the stakes were, but it was a fast structure, I think. And she played very aggressively.
Well, Jack Queen for Dante. Not going to pay him, and Stevie doesn't take much out of those two pots. He had a couple of good hands, and he might be ruining that because he's only picked up 30 and 50 respectively. In other words, he's picked up a total of 80 with ace-jack and ace-queen. And whilst you can say you might have lost with them, but I think when you get strong hands like that in this fast structure, you've got to try and maximise them somehow. And just sticking your chips in. Really what you're saying, if you've got an ace-jack or you've got an ace-queen, you're hoping that you can pick someone else up who's got an ace-5 or an ace-8 or an ace-9 perhaps, hoping that you know, they hit their ace and you can clean up their chips or get a lot of money out of it. But when you're just pushing your chips in pre-flop, you're basically saying, only call me if you've got a better hand. So I don't think that's a good way to play, especially if you're low stack like that. I think you've got to perhaps take a chance when the blinds are this low. Because you've got half your stack left. I think it's an opportunity for you to try and get some of that money back and play a little bit. And I think if you're putting in 500 to win 30, you're never going to really, you know, you're only going to basically be up against a race situation at best. And at worst, you'll be sort of far behind. So nothing's going to be happening here. Let's, what will Stevie do? Will he want to try one of his all-in moves again? No. And Robbie won't give this up, so if Stevie does try and steal it, he'll be calling here probably. And let's see if Robbie puts out a bet here. He does. He wants to build that pot up a little bit, and he's got the chips to do it. Stevie's on a short stack, so he can't really call without any hand at all here. He can't sort of look to take it away from Robbie. It's going to be hard to try and do that with his short stack, and he doesn't. He was wondering whether his queen was any good. We can see that he was far, far behind in that pot. Robbie having an overcard to the board, plus the flush draw. Well, half ace is playing this a little bit sneakily. He's got ace-king suited, and Robbie doesn't want to know. Now, will he get any takers here? Unfortunately, Sir Mac hasn't hit anything here, so he's not going to get anything straight away. Oh, he has now, and he might like this. This is a crafty little play by half ace, and he's now in a position to take a few chips from Sir Mac. Now, will Sir Mac? He does call. Well, he thinks, well, you didn't bet your king. So he's checked now, and what will half ace? He's pretty confident he's ahead here. He's bet 140 into, what was it? It was about 210, I think it was. So, and he's paid him off. So there you go. Nice little play from half ace, and that's really what I was talking to, you know, mentioning about Steve. This is something that Steve might have been able to do and get some chips by playing it sneakily, rather than just going all in and, you know, scaring everyone off. Well, he's done it again with the jacks, and once again he's got another strong hand, and all he's picked up is 30. And whilst I can appreciate the necessity for survival, which is what he's probably aiming for by doing that, I just think that in this situation, at these early stages, you've got to try and accumulate chips, especially when you're so short of them yourself. Now, he's done it again. He's not going to get any callers. He's always going to pick up his 100. bit better this time, because he's picked up 100 in the pot. Dante won't call him, I can't imagine, no. I mean, Dante is one of the guys that might end up calling him, only because he's done it twice to him, so he might be getting a bit fed up of it if he keeps on doing it, and eventually he might just make a stand, but if he holds his temperament, then Steve just won't get paid. Well, no one's hit anything here, although Half-Ace has got a half a hand. Well, he's not got any much of a hand now. Did have, say, half a hand. He's got a 9-10 jack, 3-card straight, but that's not worth much in Texas Hold'em. Not in these sit and goes where you don't get much implied odds, and it costs you a lot each time to try and make your draws. Well, Stevie doesn't want to play his king jack. He's in early position. I don't really blame him. Ironically, he would have got away with his all-in that time, but he's figured I've got a few more chips, I can hang on a little bit longer now. Top pair for McTavish, and he's likely to put a little bit of a bet here. Well, that's a big one. Yeah, made it pot size, and no one had a big diamond in their hand, so they couldn't call. So McTavish takes someone down. So Half-Ace has shown so far a lot of promise. He played that ace-king very sneakily, and when he did hit, he let the other guy catch up and then play it quite nicely. Quite the sort of way I probably like to play it. In the early stages of a tournament, try and make those big hands pay you something. Well, McTavish playing the king-8. Don't really like this play. It is suited, but he's got so many people behind him. He's very unlikely to be in position, and he's sort of in no man's land. Well, Robbie playing this very sneaky. Oh, look at that. Well, this is very interesting now because Steve has got the straight, McTavish has got top pair, and Kovacs has the nut flush draw. Oh, Steve. I've got to say, this will McTavish pay you? He might get a call off Kovacs, who's got a lot of chips. No, he doesn't. And McTavish does pay him. He pays him with the top pair well. He got someone to pay him eventually on his all-in moves. Be interesting to see what he does here. Will he do the same thing again? Because he's got Half-Ace, who's got the pair of eights. And he's got Dante, he's got king-queen. Now, will Dante make a stand now? This will be interesting. If he goes all in with his pair of nines, Dante might say, look, enough's enough, you can't keep having a hand. But this time, Dante's in a bit of trouble because Stevie actually now covers him, which wasn't the case before. No, and Stevie's not going to do it no more. He's got enough chips. He doesn't need to make that play anymore. And, well, this is interesting because we've got middle pair for McTavish, who's moved in. Who's actually got the best hand. Oh, no, he hasn't. Sorry, I'm talking about Half-Ace has got the set. Although Dante has got an up and down straight draw. And I'm surprised he's actually pushed in there. I think he might have... oh, look at that, quad eights. Well, that's out. That's Dante's not going to be able to win this one. I'm surprised that Dante actually raised in that situation. I think, really, he should have just flat called. And the reason being is that, one, he had one person behind him. He could have got his money in. He doesn't mind it playing multi-way because he's only on a draw. And he's on a nut draw. So, in other words, if he does hit it, he's likely to... it's likely to be the nuts, I think. I don't think there was any other possible nut options on there. So, it means that he really wanted as many people as he could in there. Because if he does make his draw, there's more people for him to pay. So, not a good raise there by... Dante there. I thought he should have just flat called. He would have got more equity out of it. And of course, he wouldn't have had to lose all his money when he missed it. You don't want to isolate in that situation. As he was trying to do, he was trying to isolate in a situation that really didn't need isolating. The reason it didn't need isolating because you wanted to be up as many people as possible. When you're on a draw to the nut hand, let them come in. half ace, decides to limp in. And he might have a little pop at this. This looks like a pretty scary sort of board for most players. He does, and that's a good pickup from half ace. Nicely played. He saw the board look pretty scary, and he thought, well, if it's scaring me, it's probably going to scare you. I don't even need to represent a hand here. I can just get you scared of the hand that looks, the potential hands that seem to be out there. Well, top pair for Steve. Sorry, no, he's got, sorry, what am I talking about? He did have top pair plus the 4, which turned on the end, so he made 2 pair on by the turn. And that's got to be enough to take that one down. A little bit worried about that last diamond coming in, but nothing to worry about in the end. Steve has decided to play his 8-2 suited. He's actually in a dominating situation against Robbie's 6-2. And not a bad hand for Steve. He might want to put a little bet out here. He does. And Robbie with his 6-2 says, no, thank you. Don't blame him, really. So half ace, how's he going to play his pair of 10s? Well, the board's starting to clear up, so he might want to actually play this a little bit more aggressively now, and he does, and that's the right move for me. There's only 4 people behind him now. I won't say only, I mean he's, sorry, there's 1, 2, 3, yep, 4 people behind him. So it is a short-handed table in effect now. It's not quite the same as when you've got 4 or 5 people behind you on a full table, because it means 2 or 3 people have already folded their hands, which means there's less likely good cards that have been folded, which means that there are some more likely good cards still left in the pack for your opponents to have. Well, this looks a bit suspicious here from Gazzalu. He's half ace is wondering, well, I've got a decent ace here. Has he got really a better hand than me? Well, he seems to be able to do everything perfectly, half ace, at the moment. Very easy for him to have called with that hand, and I wouldn't have blamed him if he did call. It was only another 120 more, and he's got a decent ace, but he's looked at it, he's thought, well, look, if I hit an ace, I'm probably ahead, but I'm not 100% sure I'll be ahead. Of course, we can see that he wasn't going to be ahead. And the chance of it coming an 8-high board is not going to be too strong. So, and, you know, he might actually have a real hand. So, well, it was well worked out. Kovacs is hit trip 5s and just couldn't get paid. And half ace hasn't put a foot wrong so far. He's making a tremendous reads on this game. He seems to know exactly when to bet and when to fold. Well, this will be an interesting hand. Ace-Jack 4, half ace, and I'm sure he's going to come in with a raise. Probably make it around 240, I guess, the same sort of amount. Maybe a little bit less. No, he's made it 400. That's interesting. And he scared Steve off with the pair, and, well, he wins it down. He's made it so big that the others were scared to come in. Interesting stuff. Well, Stevie 72, Queen Jack, making a raise. And he's going to take that one down. Well, Kovacs with the ace-king, and we can see 3 of the aces are out. Ace-9, ace-10, ace-9, ace-king, ace-5. And don't like the call then from Steve. He throws away a pocket pair, but he's quite happy to call with ace-5. I mean, it's worked out okay for him, but does he realise it's worked out okay? That's the thing. And Kovacs, I was going to say, Kovacs really should have been putting out a bet on that turn for me. He had 2 overcards plus the inside straight draw. The guy's checked to him already. The 10 probably didn't help him. So he didn't have to hit that middle pin or the 2 overcards. He could have probably won it on the turn, and he just acted a bit too quickly for my liking there. I think he could have taken it on the turn without having to hit any of his cards. The trick was that that Stevie had checked the jack, so the 10 is unlikely to have helped him unless he's playing 10-9. And once again, how comfortable is he going to feel with something like 10-9 on a jack-high board? Half ace has got an ace on the button, pretty strong position. Doesn't like it that much, which is probably why he's bet 4 times the big blinds on this occasion. He wants to, just wants to win it there and then, and he does so. Kovacs with a Jack Queen. Decides to play it on the button rather than see if he can win it. No, he doesn't. Once again, he's... is he going to try and steal it on the turn? He's had 2 checks, and he does. Well done. Well done, Kovacs. That's really what I think he should have done with the 10. With that 10 hit on the previous hand. Well, he's got ace king again. Let's see what he does this time. There's some money building in the pot, so he might want to feel... I was going to say, he might just want to take this one down. Yeah, I don't blame him for the raise there. I don't think you can start playing too tricky now with ace king. Now that there's some decent money in the pot, there is good reasons why you want to take it down. Different with this hand, though. Aces, it's not so vulnerable, and it's a ready-made hand. So, and of course, we can see behind him, wow, he's got, Robbie thinks this is heaven, but he doesn't know in how much pain he's in. Aces against kings. And Stevie's not mucking around. Well, he needs some help here. That's a little bit of help. A 10 will get him out of this, Robbie. But it doesn't arrive, so kings and jacks is not as good as aces and jacks. Very unlucky there, Robbie. Nothing you could do in that situation. When you get kings and the other guy's got aces, that's just bad fortune. Well, I think Kovacs is going to look him up here. He's got enough chips to do it. It's only another 600 odd to him, 650. And he does call him. Ace-2 against ace-queen. Ace-queen in the lead. Ace-queen still in the lead. An ace or a 5 would help Gazalui. Doesn't come, so Gazalui ends up in 4th. And Kovacs takes his chips. Well, we're down to 3, down into the money. This is a $10 tournament. First prize is 40 bucks. Second prize, let's see what happens here. No. Second prize is 24, third is 16. So 40, 24, 16 are the prizes. Fourth got nothing, unfortunately, for our man just gone out there. Ooh, half ace. Interesting. Well, he might have been saved here. He's got Steve's raising with the ace-6. Now, he's decided to call, and Kovacs, I presume, is going to re-raise, so he's going to do the minimum here, half ace. Yeah, he does, and it's a strong raise as well. So, only 480 for half ace to call, but it's a lot of chips. He's getting a good odds. He's getting 3 to 1 his money. Or thereabouts, yeah, about 3 to 1 his money. So 3 to 1 his money, 5s, difficult, very difficult. I think I'll be more tempted with 7s. I'm not sure about 5s. 5s are a bit low for me. Tough one though. He was getting 3 to 1 his money. He was getting some good implied odds. He's in the money already. But he was going to be first to act, so he didn't have position either, so that was one thing going against him. Well, Steve 72 is probably going to come with a raise, and half ace I'm sure will re-raise. He's got to feel comfortable. Well, he's going to call with this, I'm sure he is, yeah. Don't blame him for that. Ace queen, a strong hand, 3-handed. Sit as queen. Is that going to be enough? And it is. Steve needed that king. He didn't hit it. Those spades coming a bit too late. So half ace doubles through. Steve is now on the short stack with 160. He's got to make a move here. Queen 3 is about as good a hand as he can hope for. He's going to get Kovacs to immediately call him because he's only playing the big blind, and I don't mind half ace getting out with this hand 8-3. He's got no involvement with this, doesn't need to involve himself. Well, say he didn't need to involve himself, he would have... oh no, he's got the straight. Kovacs has got the straight, so it doesn't make any difference. So we're down to 2. Half ace against Kovacs. Blinds are now just gone up, 163.20. And half ace played a pretty good game so far, and Kovacs has picked up some nice hands and in some key situations, so should make for an interesting heads up. Well, a raise coming in from half ace. He's going to take it. Well, he's playing aggressively. And they're pretty much even now. He's won the last few pots. I think Half-Ace might let this one go now that he's caught up a little bit. No, he doesn't. He's continuing with his aggressive stance. And will he follow it through? No, he doesn't. He might do it now, though. But the problem is he's got a draw now. Kovacs has now got an inside straight draw, but he might not like it too much. And that's nice play by Half-Ace. He read that situation. He thought, well, if you're not betting there, then you must be weak. I might as well just bet. Well, an ace, he might feel is pretty strong in this situation. 10-Jack suited, does he want to? He does. He wants to push with it. Kovacs has called him. And, well, he's hit his 10. He needs running spades or an ace. Still needs an ace. Only an ace. And, no, that's not going to do. 10s and 8s beats 8s and 2s. So a bit unfortunate there. In fact, there was very little in it between ace-5 and 10-Jack suited. A marginal favourite for Half-Ace, maybe a 54% favourite, 55% at best, I think, in that situation for Half-Ace, but a very small. Well, 7-8 for Half-Ace. He needs some help, though. Queen 7. A 6 will help him here, or a 7 or an 8. No, those hearts came a bit too late there, so Kovacs is going to be the winner. Well, good game there, boys. And I thought Half-Ace played phenomenally, and Kovacs edged him out there. So a nice play for all of them. How's it going there, Tom?
Well, I'm still in, Mark.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I'm in a pot with Johan Hiren. I'm going to bet at him.
You're going to bet at him?
Yeah, I'm hoping he's going to raise me so that I can fold. Oh, he's called.
Oh, okay. Well, don't let us know too much. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed that game. We're going to do emails and stuff a little later once Tom has finished his little stint on the Beat the Presenter table. So in the meantime, I think it's time if we can head over to our multi-table tournament. We shall head over there and see what's been going on. So let's see what these boys are doing. Well, there we go. So a lot's changed, obviously. We're now out of the rebuy period, I believe. So we can see got a lot of chips on this table. I think Zapdos is our chip. No, sorry. I think it's Fana is our chip leader with 23,000. So he's looking pretty comfortable at the moment. He's got about 35 times the big blind. Yeah, just under 40 times the big blind, in fact. So he's looking pretty good. Blinds are 300, 600, so no one is in particularly desperate trouble here. Even Scotty has got well over 10 times the big blind, so he's pretty comfortable. And he's got a few hands in his under his belt that he doesn't have to worry too much about. So he's in a pretty good situation at the moment. Scotty doesn't have to worry too much, not desperate. So Zapdos is having a look with the ace-3, and Scotty having a look with the king-jack. Oh, look at that! Flops the house. Flops the house. That's incredible. What a pickup there from Zapdos. It just gets better and better. I mean, the 3 doesn't make any difference whatsoever. He's still got aces full. The only difference it does make is that if Scotty has got an ace, they're now splitting this pot. So he won't have liked that extra 3 on the end there. Not unless another 3 comes on the end. So that was a bit of an interesting hand. However, Scotty didn't lose a fortune in that. He's now got into a bit of trouble now because he's now got 4,800. So he's got to be a little bit more careful. Well, Zapdos has the 2 pair. The problem for him is Fana has got the straight. So, and look at this, buyback has got the 2 pair as well. Now they must be wondering: has he got a flush draw? Has he got the 10-jack? What has he got? Has he got a better two pair possibly? Well, Zapdos has called. In fact, they've all called. All three of them are in. And Fana is going to take this one down. They needed a king or a queen. There was only one each left. Three of them were out of each. And, well, look at that. Zapdos, from a very strong position, is now on the brink of going out. Gosh, he must be devastated. That was very, very unfortunate. And there you are. Maybe King Queen doesn't rule in the land of the unraised pot, because the two King Queens went out disastrously. Well, Super Grand has joined us. I think we're down to, must be down to around 18 players or so. 6 players on this table. Well, Fana is wondering whether he can now push home his advantage. He's a massive chip leader. Look at this. He's got, the blinds are 300, 600, and he's got nearly 60,000. He's nearly got 100 times a big blind, which is unbelievable in this stage of a tournament. To have 100 times a big blind, you normally start off with around 100 times a big blind, and he's got it now at the closing stages. Incredible. And look at the stacks he's got around him, 3,000, 7,000, 2,000, 4,000. This must be heaven. The only problem is he does got to worry about doubling them up, because they might just bounce off him, looking for him as the source of energy, the source of food. So he mustn't go too wild. He's got to pick his moments. He wants to push his draws aggressively, but he wants to do it for people that have some fold equity. He doesn't want to do it to people that are committed. That's the thing when you've got a big stack, you still have to be careful. Some people may feel committed. The likes of Zapdos obviously is going to be committed. Kev Still is going to be pretty committed. And so is Scotty. So the ones he might want to pick on is really only Super Gran and possibly Emma. But I don't know, I think even Emma might be committed to most hands. Well, this is interesting. We've got, look at this. We've got Ace-Jack against Queens, against Aces. This is going to be disaster. And Aces is thinking, well, I can't believe this. I'll just dwell up, hope maybe I can get Super Grand along for the ride, but he doesn't really want to be up against 3 players. 2 is quite enough. And Super Drank's thinking, well, what odds have I got here? Gosh, let's see, it's going to cost me about another 4,000 odd. And I don't even call that, not for those odds. Yeah, you're getting over 3 to 1 your money, Super Grand, but that 4,000 was just too costly on your stack. If you had Fana's chip stack, that might be a different story. But you can't really call in that situation. You must be putting on at least 1 overpair to your 10 jack, which now makes it pretty rubbish. It also cuts out your potential straight draws as well, which is obviously what you're looking for with a 10 jack. You're looking to make a straight potentially, and of course if you've got a pair of kings against you and a pair of jacks and maybe a pair of 9s, you know, they're all sort of cards that you need. Well, seeing a lot of confrontation here. We now got Super Grand with the ace queen against Best in Show with the ace jack. Oh, this is going to be a tough one, but I think Best in Show can lay this down. This is more than half his stack, and whilst he might be tempted to call with an ace queen, I'm not even sure he'd want to call with an ace queen. Certainly with an ace king you would probably call, but even then it's... Oh, has he called? No, he hasn't. And 5-8 has felt committed, and he's now pushed it in. Needed a bit of help, didn't get it. So Super Grand now increases to 16,000. She's going to be happy about that. Say she, might not necessarily be a she. So the stacks on this table are starting to get a bit bigger now. It was interesting, isn't it? Just a moment ago I was saying that we've had a 7,000, a 3,000, a 4,000, a 2,000, and now look at it. We've got a 20,000, a 15, a 20, a 16, a 58, and a 20. So it just shows you how you need to adjust your game in tournament poker. It's a big part of tournament poker, multi-table tournament poker that is. The situations and the status quo, there never is a status quo. It is always changing. And hence, when the game around you is changing, when the goalposts are moving like they do in tournaments, you've got to follow that goal. And you've got to realise that the goal is moving and things are changing. So you've got to adjust your game. A big, big thing in tournament poker is adjusting your game to current scenario. And that current scenario can literally change from one hand to the next. Look at it. It's changed on its head just from 2 or 3 minutes ago when I was commentating on all the short stacks on the table. So a very different proposition now. But probably won't change much for Fanner. I think he's still going to play certain hands aggressive. And the good thing about it now for Fanner is he's now picked up hands where he's severely dominating them in terms of chips. But he does have fold equity. So it means that he's in a situation whereby he can bully them off hands with draws if he chooses to go down that route, and if he feels that they have enough fold equity. So certainly in terms of chips, they've got it. It's whether they feel they've got it in terms of the hand they're holding. So Jack 2 for best in show. Might have decided to have a little pop there. Didn't want to. Emma didn't want to. Looked a bit suspicious doing it from the button, and. That's pretty nice for Wizzy. Unfortunately, unless a jack appears, he's not going to get a penny out of Super Grand. Oh, he does get 800. He decided to make a little play, flat call. Super Grand's wondering, what does that mean? Does that mean King Queen or Jack Queen, or does it mean a 10 or an ace? He's now picked a little part of that. He's got the 7, and Wizzy's going to charge him. What's he going to charge him? He's going to charge him 2-4, and Super Grand's wondering, is it a misdraw? Or has my at 7 now propelled me? No, you can only beat a bluff. I decided, well, here's a bluff. It looks like you want me to call, so I'm not going to. And I think that was pretty well worked out from Super Grand. So Super Grand with the 8-6. I'd like to make a little play. We've seen that wants to try and do something. No, doesn't want to play against a chip leader, and I really don't blame her for that. Just be a waste of 400, and there's a power of chips for you. Wow, look at that. Super Grand now has picked up the mother of all hands. Oh, she must have had the fold on from before. Just folded a 7-8. What are you doing, Super Grand? Well, Wizzy's made a raise with the ace-queen. I don't like the raise, to be frank with you. I think it's too weak. Double the bet, and he hasn't bought himself position. That's the problem. Now, he's up against a chip leader, and, well, I'm surprised that Wizzy didn't come out betting there. Maybe he was looking for a check raise with that board. Well, he's now taken it to the end. He must know that, he must feel pretty confident that his hand is winning. I'm sure he'll call any bet, and he decided to take that one down. I think he might have followed through with a continuation bet. Fanner might have decided to re-raise him, and that was always going to be an issue. With that board, he might have thought that his hand was good too. 2-4-10. Well, Wizzy's about to lose 800 chips here, because I'm sure Emma's not going to give him a free ride with his Jack 10. Best in show, I'll be calling with that, I'm sure. Now, what's Emma going to do? Probably put in a little raise, make it around 24. Yeah, that's about a good bet there. 3 times is about right, I think, with a pair of queens in that situation. It's not particularly strong. It's not particularly weak. 3 times is about right. I think anything less than that is just a bit too weak. Just, your hand is not so, it's a little bit on the vulnerable side. So, Fanner's picked up the 10 Jack, and What's he going to do? He's decided to come in with a bet in early position, but he's using his chip power to try and steal these blinds, or, well, Emma's decided to call with the 310. Now there's a surprise. Doesn't hit anything here. A 5 came, would make her a bottom end of the straight. Can't like that. And Wizzy's decided to come out betting with the A6. Unfortunately for Wizzy, he's making it a bit too cheap. And he's put a bit of a stop bet there, and will Fana try and take it from him? No. Yeah, I would have liked a bit of a bigger bet there from Wizzy in the, at least on the turn, if not on the flop. I think it warranted that. It now looked like the guy was on some kind of draw when he called, whether it's to overcard. So once that 4 came down, you knew that probably wasn't helping. Well, Best in Show's got A7. I'm sure he's going to bet this. And he's probably, well, it's a big bet there. 4 times the big blind he decided to come in with. And will he follow it up with a continuation bet, trying to represent that jack? He does, and he picks it up well. Well done from Best in Show. Strong play there. Decided that jack was the only scare card really on there. And if you've got ace jack or king jack, and you've called me with that, then that's the way the cookie crumbles. So I like the continuation bet there from Best in Show. Wasn't a particularly scary board, so you could afford to do it. But there was some belief that you could have been holding an ace jack or a king jack. So he's a bit far away this time, Best in Show, so he folds his queen 10. Super Grand is a nice hand on the button. Might decide just to pop it 2400. Might look like a button steal. You might get the opponent to re-raise you, but 32 they don't want to know. Well, Jack Queen, this is definitely, for me, an opportunity to bet, but he doesn't. Will he check raise? I was going to say, that might be an opportunity, actually. It might be a better opportunity to check raise in that situation, thinking about it. Because it now scares your opponent that you might have an 8. And plus, you're going to get the next card for free. And of course, if you do hit any one of those 3 cards that are good for you, the Queen, Jack, or the 10, it now means you're in a good, strong position. So, yeah, a bit surprising there, a bit weak there from Best in Show, but he played it safe, and that's really what. There are obviously opportunities to play it safe, and there are opportunities to try and accumulate chips with a bit of aggression. So, it's up to you where you feel you want to play and how you want to balance those 2 things out. And it is a balance, and you've got to keep adjusting the balance. You just can't keep playing the same way all the way through. I try and, when I'm commentating on these games, I do try and give you opportunities where I feel you could win chips and how and the reasons why you could be winning them. I'm not really looking for it from a survival point of view, although I do take that in consideration. It really is a point about how to make the best out of the situations that you do come across. I'll give you some reasoning behind some of that stuff. So we're still on 6 players on this table. So we're somewhere around 16, 17 or 18 players left in this tournament, I believe. So, and I don't mind that bet actually with the ace-jack in that situation. I think he's a little bit behind in terms of position. So I don't mind the 4,000. Now this is a tricky situation. What's he going to do here? Blinds have just gone up. Oh, he's done it again. He's lucky that he's got someone behind him. But well, this is a pretty nice board for the 8s as well. Oh, and best in show. You're just giving him a reason to go away. And that's a shame. I think with a board like that, 5, 5, 10, you're praying that he's got a 10 in his hand. But really, there's nothing else he can have. What else could he have apart from a pocket pair? And you just scared him off that pocket pair. You know, unless he's got an overpair to the board, you're not going to get any action. So I think a missed opportunity there for best in show. I think sometimes when you get aces like that and you've got a good opportunity and a good favourable board like that, you can make the most of it. Not to be on that occasion, so best in show playing a little bit on the safe side. So we'll come back to that a little later and see how he's been doing. In the meantime, we've got a couple of emails coming through, and this one is from Drum Ace. And Drummer Ace is saying, hi chaps, as per James's comments, I'm playing 100 sit and goes, $5.50, 86 down and 14 to go. I will of course email full stats for your perusal and I would welcome any discussion comments. Big thanks. Well, yeah, that's great. It's glad to see that you're taking your game very seriously. So yeah, please do let us know. And if you can as well, post it on the forum. It'd be very good to see. Post it on the forum so we can all have a look at it, all the presenters can have a look at it, and maybe some of us will give you our comments too, so that'd be good. Thanks very much for that. We've also got a message from Paul, and Paul is asking, thanks for your message by the way, Paul, and Paul is asking, how does rakeback work, and can you get it backdated with the poker sites? Okay. Okay, first of all, can you get rakeback backdated? The answer is no. I've never heard of a poker site backdating rakeback for anyone, so I doubt very much whether you'll be able to get it backdated. Unless you have given them very good reasons to backdate it, which most won't buy. However, no, you can't get it backdated. First part of your question, how does rakeback work? Okay, well, rakeback is a scheme that some poker sites do and some don't. What it basically means is that, as you know, the way the poker sites make their money is from the registrations that they take on the tournaments, i.e. the $1 in a $10 sit and go game, or in a multi-table, the same thing, or they actually take a rake out of the cash game. So for example, whenever there's a pot building and we see a flop, if there's $20 in the pot, depending on what the rake level is, they take a small percentage of that for themselves. And what they do is, for the players that were involved and won the pot, they will create a rake back for that particular player. So what happens is, if the pot was $20 and the rake, for argument's sake, was $1, then they might give you 10%, 20% rake back, which means that you're getting something like 20 cents back for every time you win a $20 pot. And of course, over a period of time, that will accumulate, and obviously that happens on any hands that you win. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. So, and if it doesn't, just bad luck, really. Okay, so I think that's all we've got time for in terms of emails. Let me give you a quick reminder on how you can contact the show. You can text the show to 84222. That's on your mobiles. It's going to be on your screen, I believe. And all you need to do is put the word poker in and your question, and myself and Tom will be only too pleased to answer it. As well as that, you can email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Well, it's time for a short break from us here, so don't go too far away, because we'll be right back. See you soon. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark, Prince Charles Banin, and the one and only, the big presenter champion, Dr. Tom. Sorry. That's reserved for Casper.
It is, yeah. I'm playing Michelle's name, so if I do win,
there's sort of a mixture there, which is a bit worrying, perhaps.
I don't know, it makes me feel a bit funny.
The Tom nurse. Anyway,
let's move on.
Okay, so I think the marshals have gone and we're back. So we were taken away for just a brief moment, but they let us go quickly. We weren't suitable for them. So here we are. So let's get back to our cash game table. We're not worthy, Tom. Okay, so you're watching Poker Night Live. And you're watching Poker Night Live. Well, we've survived it. We got hijacked by a couple of aliens, but they've let us go, Tom.
You leap, 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 leap.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. We shouldn't talk about that. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the game so far. Sorry we couldn't give you any commentary, but we're going to head right back there now and carry on from where we left off not that long ago. So, in fact, we're going to head straight over to Tom's tournament.
Yeah, there I am, chip nurse. I'm actually a transvestite poker player. I'm only joking.
Are you? So Johann's setting the scene here.
Yeah, that's true with Johann, having him on your right, because basically he does all the nicking that you're planning on doing. If you've got him on your left, you don't want an aggressive player on your left, you don't want him on your right either, because he puts in all the steals before you get a chance. Really, you want an aggressive player opposite you.
Well, this is an interesting one for you. Interesting proposition. Especially as
good,
it's...
is it?
Oh, in fact, it's probably going to be okay because you're going to get re-raised here, so you can easily throw this away. So that was an easier decision. Luckily, there was someone before you who had an ace-jack, and all we need now is jack of spades or something, or an ace of... no, that can't be the jack of spades, can it? But... let's see what would make him involved. Probably an ace, I guess. Well, he's trying to sucker him in, isn't he? He's not having any of it so far. Of course, we know that an ace-jack was gone because Tom had it. Or chip nurse. What would you like to be called these days, Tom? Chip
Generally
nurse?
Tom, to be honest.
Or Chip. Should we just call you Chip?
No, could you not call me Chip? Or nurse. If you're going to call me nurse, you have to pay for the privilege.
Well, Steve trying to put out a little steal bet there. Not really necessary, probably a bet that he might have just wanted to check call if he thought he was in the lead, but he probably realised he wasn't in the lead and decided to try and steal it. Maybe he thought he was on a draw, but can't see really what he was going to fold with for 100, so he might as well just call if he thought you were in the lead. But I suppose he thought, well, this will be either a stop bet. If I get re-raised and throw it away. So in the end, I guess it was probably the best way to find out if his ace-jack was winning. But with so many potential cards out there that the opponent could have, probably unlikely winning in that situation.
Tables are turned here for Johann. He's got the ace-jack suited. Skitsy now with the Cowboys. And he was doing lots of betting, and I didn't for a minute put him on any sorts of hands. But it turns out he has had some hands.
Yeah, apart from the first one, the King 4.
Mm. Cooey. Well, now the ace-jack's improved. He's got a lot of outs against a pair of kings there. He's got the 9 hearts and the 3 aces.
He's a small underdog here, isn't he? With the ace-jack.
Yeah, but a very small underdog, yeah.
Of course, King of Hearts won't help him in this case.
Ah, pair on the board. Well spotted, Mr. Banin, yeah. That does.
Yeah.
And as cards accumulate on the board, the chances of a house increase and increase for Skitsy, so yeah. Well, you see, Johan Haren wanted to make that move himself. He didn't want to be facing it, and that's a good fold there.
Yeah, that is a good fold. Yeah, very good.
Ace is leading out with a conventional 4 times the big blind bet. First pot I think Top Harry's been in. And he gets no joy, but he does pick up the blinds. Now, we've had a glut of big hands on the first few hands of this sit and go. Eight of nap hands has got the Ace King suited. And I think I recall this hand. Ah. Yeah, I do recall it. I recall it because on the flop, immediately, nap hands is locked into a losing spiral because he's nothing he can do really here. It's even worse when there's a flush draw on the board because he's got to protect his hand. And Johan Haren catches a lucky 2 pair. Perfect situation against the bigger ace, bigger king rather.
Unless, is he just going to call here, Tom? Or is he
Johan
not?
Haren.
Is he worried about the 10 jack possibly?
Yeah, or not getting paid. Yeah, and 10 jack, clubs.
There's a possibility, isn't it, with a 10 jack there for Johan?
So nap hands has gone, which is a shame because I played nap hands heads up on a previous sit and go. And I'm not looking forward to playing Johan Haren heads up much. But he's got all the chips.
Well, still a long way to go though, so things can change. Although he's unlikely to give them away foolishly. I'm seen as a pretty solid play. He might make the odd bluff, but he tends to know when to stop, I think. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, he's a tight aggressive player. He's an uber tight aggressive player, so he'll bet big or fold big. And in fact, later on in this tournament, there's a situation where you might think, Mark, I should have put in a value bet against him. But I'm going to say that against a player of that sort, the river principle on the river where you check unless you're certain a worse hand can call you, I think against a player like Johan, you really do apply that principle very strongly.
Okay, yeah, it'd be interesting to see the hand that comes up that you're referring to. Oh, look at that. Oh, what a bunch of horrible hands. Every single one is nasty as hell.
Yep.
There wasn't even, the best hand there was probably 8-6, I think, was everything else was uncallable. There was a king 4 or something I did see, but not particularly attractive. So he says, well, so I'm only worried about the king. Do you have it? Or do you find it hard to call me with a 3? Might call me with a 6. And Gullo took a little bit of a chance there, and he picked up the chips in the middle.
Now I'm planning on betting this Queen 6, to be honest, Mark, but I don't get a chance to.
No. No, I think I can see why that would make sense. Queen 6 in a fairly favourable position. But like you said, you've had someone doing it for you.
And so far in this game, I know about Johan Haren, of course, but I've tipped Steve Talbot as a reasonably aggressive player, and Skitsy as playing with solid values, but not playing much else. That's what I'm working on. Of course, it's highly provisional.
Yeah, it's very early days, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, it's better to form an opinion that you might later correct than to form no opinion at all about your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely, and everything that every little
thing she does is magic.
Things that you can find out certainly will help the cause. Well, something for everyone. I don't think Steve's going to be pretty impressed with his holding that. So I assume that he might bet. You never know. He does.
Heads up. He reckons his opponent's probably missed, but his opponent's got a reasonable draw there.
Yeah.
Got a shot on overcard.
Would you have liked to have seen Gullo minimum raise there to buy the river card?
No, I don't think in the long run there's any guarantee he'll save more money that way than just calling and possibly seeing the river card for free. I mean, a call can be a reasonably aggressive sort of action, or it can be can send the collywobbles up your opponent. And if you play at all, you may guarantee yourself a free river card.
Yeah. Well, Gullo called there, and he ended up hitting his straight. Runner for a straight, 8-9, making him a 8-9, 10 Jack Queen straight. So he'll be pleased with that.
More reasonable hands.
Yeah, they come out in bunches, don't they?
We've seen this before tonight. Johan Haran with the
Yeah, a bit better this time.
nut flush draw. Look at
He's got
this.
2 overcards this time, hasn't he?
I remember this pot. And there's the straight on the board. 260 in the pot. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. Johan sticks in a bet. And Catman is having to put in 600 here to win 100 and something. Terrible, terrible odds, because of course he'll just get his 600 back and he'll get half of the pot that was there before Johan Haran bet. So even though he knows Johan Haran's probably at it, how can he call, Mark?
No, you can't.
How can he call? He
No.
can't. Just in case Haran's got a 10.
Good bet by Johan.
Which is a good bet when his opponent hasn't got a straight.
What do you think overall? Has positive equity?
I don't know. One of these days, Mark, I'm going to sit down and work out the probability of someone holding a 10, and then use that probability to know whether or not to call when it comes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I think I just brilliantly played kings there. We didn't see it, Mark.
No one called you.
That's right.
Yeah. Went back quickly. Not nice, is it? Especially when you've seen Johan get a bit of action on his kings.
And Skitsy too. Never mind.
They're both thinking, how can I get some money out of this guy?
Skitsy with the secret edge there.
Yeah. And by secret edge, Tom means that he's got that backdoor flush opportunity with the ace. Not particularly strong in that situation, but better than not having any edge.
Good implied odds, because Top Harry's got also got a backdoor flush draw. But that means he's less likely to make it. Choppity choppity now. Don't think Skitsy's going to fold here, is he?
Well,
Does look strong though. Looks more like looks like Ace King or Ace Queen, not Ace Jack now.
yeah, it certainly doesn't look like ace jack, you're right.
Skitsy might make a wrong fold here. Well, you know, you've got to admire him for taking the time to read his opponent. Look at these boys. 7, 8 off. That's a real hand, Mark. 8, 9 suited.
Where's 7-8 off?
It's not there.
Oh,
I'm just saying what a real hand is.
oh 8-9 suited. That's an interesting hand. Very playable, especially on the button. How do you play it, Mr. Tom?
Well, I think it's got to be a raise there. A little dinky 3 times the big blind.
We've made it 1-2-5.
1-2-5, just for a nice, neat, sum. And I'm obviously disappointed, traumatised, in fact, to get a raise. But now the odds are looking quite nice, given that I've got position, I've got a surprise hand, so I just call.
Yeah, you've got the call. He's giving you odds to call.
I've got the flush draw.
Yeah, you never get away easy, do you, in this game?
460 in the pot. He puts him 280. And the reason why I just call here is I think a call actually is quite scary there. I think you could read that call as a big call, and I might well get the river card for free. That's why I don't raise him and force him to a decision there and then.
Yeah, and the problem for him now, he's now hit an ace, which is probably the one card he really didn't want to see. He would have been much happier to see a king there, or a queen, or anything, but the last thing he really wanted to see was an ace come.
What do you think I'm going to do, Mark?
Well, according to what you said before, Tom, I was going to say you're going to just check and see the river card for free, but you didn't.
No,
This is
not
what-
in that case.
What do you mean not in that case?
It's representation city. The ace has arrived. I've bet before the flop. I've made what looks like a crying call on the turn. Oh, I've got
Okay.
ace queen. Maybe an ace will come. Ace comes down on the turn. I've never seen a better position to represent a hand there.
Okay. So there you are. So just earlier, so this is a good point for some of our new viewers to listening. We were hearing Tom about saying how he likes to get free cards on the end, but there you can see why he's actually changed that thought pattern. And that's the thing you have to do in poker generally, is that you might have a basic principle to work off. However, you find that even the most fundamental of principles can sometimes have to be changed according to, unusual situations. So there you are. There's an example of Tom saying he wants to get the free card to make his draw, but the ace has come. It's presented him an opportunity to bluff at a pot, and what we call semi-bluffing. In other words, he can still win if a club comes. And it worked out very nicely, and Gullo certainly believed him for that. So very nicely played indeed. And Gullo really didn't want to see that ace on there. He was a bit worried about the king. And once that ace came, he thought, OK, I've had enough of this hand. I think it was really the nail in the coffin for his jacks, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't.
And you read it well.
I wasn't convinced he had a king either, which was another reason to bet.
Yeah, the bet was weak, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could be anything.
Did you consider check raising on the flop? Or you were never going to do that? Was he only bet 280?
No, I didn't. And the reason I don't want to increase the pot at that time because I don't want to force him to go on, let's gamble decision, in which case I'm going to be behind. And I thought the call there, whereas the call sometimes just looks passive and weak, there I thought the call looked pretty strong.
Yeah.
And I thought I might well buy a free card.
And of course, you're making it easier for your implied odds by only flat calling and not raising, for the simple reason that he can't really bet a great amount. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of odds in this tournament because whilst there's a lot more play, there still is limited amounts of play. But it now means that, the pot is smaller because you haven't increased it, and hence he can only bet a certain amount on the next hand anyway.
Credibly, yeah.
Yeah. So, interesting, very interesting hand, that one. Masterfully played by the good doctor.
It wouldn't have been masterfully played if he'd raised me on the turn.
I still think it was a good play. I think it was a good play regardless. If it doesn't, every now and again it won't work because the guy is stubborn as a mule.
Yeah.
And, they take no notice of what's going on around them. But some people only look at their hands, and that's the problem. That's really one of the things you've got to make a judgment about in poker. You've got to decide, is the guy taking notice of other people's hands, or is he just looking at his own?
Now, Johan Haran could have anything here, but I still have got a bit too much to make a decision here and now with the tens. I don't want to raise him in case he comes over the pair or what, so I call here because there's a reasonable chance I'll get 3 undercards. It's less than 50% if I've got tens, a bit less than 50% I'll see 3 undercards, but sometimes it happens, and there it is. So with the tens there, I'm happy to let them go actually, but I call because of the possibility of getting undercards. If I've got 9s or 8s, that's different because I know I'm going to face over cards on the flop. I might make a decision to fold or raise before the flop. Tens is just in the middle.
Yeah.
Where I can see a safe-ish flop quite a lot of the time.
Another interesting question for you on that particular hand with the tens. What was the reason that you didn't let him put in a continuation bet?
On the
or when the flop came down?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of other cards can come on the turn.
So you're afraid that he might check as well,
yeah,
and then he'll get hit one of his overcards.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can see he only had one overcard, but you're afraid if he's got a king jack or something, then.
That's right. And I mean, Johan Haran's a tricky player, but to be honest, if you bet at him and you've got a reasonably decent image, that simplifies things a lot. It's when you give him the initiative that you don't know where you are.
Right.
So by betting at him, I really thought that if I get action there, I can throw it away. And if I don't, then I'm very happy to take the pot there and then. Because
see, in certain situations, if I'm put in Johan's position, what's just happened, I may, in certain situations, not so keen on doing it in a single table tournament, but in a multi-table tournament, I may re-raise you at that point, thinking, well, hold on a sec, I've been the aggressor, I'm the one that's got bluffing rights here, and you're trying to take that away from me. Why? Now, the only reason I can think of is that you're not that strong, or you don't feel that you're that strong about your particular hand, which is why you've stopped me making a continuation bet.
It's true.
Yeah. But it's difficult to do in these single table tournaments because I don't want to risk, a big portion of my stack on doing that. And in these single table tournaments, you're generally going to be doing that a lot of the time. So risky play, but interesting. And of course, you do need someone like Dr. Tom who's prepared to throw it away, and there's not too many players that will throw away an overpair. That's the other thing. So whilst it might have worked in this case, I think in a lot of cases in that scenario, it wouldn't have worked. So it just shows you it's a very fine line, isn't it, between success and failure. Very fine. Well, battle of the aces here. It's little ace against big ace. And the ace doesn't come, so first to bet will get this one. Who's going to represent it? Steve's probably the one. He's been playing a little bit more aggressively. He'll probably try and take this. Yes, he does, and he's got position. And I don't blame him. That's not a particularly nice board for Skitsy. He can't really re-raise without committing a big portion of his stack, and he probably won't want to do that. No, he doesn't. I don't blame him. Steve just won by virtue of position. And a good play by Steve. That was a pretty scary board. You would have thought that anyone that had a part of that would have probably come out betting. And Steve thought, well, if you're not coming out betting, you can't have any part. Or not a strong part, anyway. So we're up against the Battle of the Kings this time. King 6 against King 5. Good chance of that this goes to showdown. It'll be a split pot, but it doesn't look like it's going to go to showdown. Oh, it might do.
There are a couple of game lads, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, Jacks, King 6 is the hand at the moment. And Johan is wondering, well, doesn't believe him for the pair.
What a great play.
Yeah.
Terrific play.
He's read it very well. You're thinking, well, if you've got a pair, you're likely to have bet a little bit bigger. So, didn't believe him for it and read it well. He's running away with this, isn't he, Johan, at the moment?
Yeah.
Playing some good stuff. Very good.
Yes, he is. And he's had, that was a great play, but he has actually had a fair share of decent hands.
He has, that's very true, yeah. He's had a couple of kings. We've seen him with ace king, just there, and probably one or two extras that we've forgotten about. Well, Skitty doesn't want to have a play with his 7-10. I don't blame him. He's got 4 people behind him, and he hasn't got that many chips to gamble with. So he needs to pick his moments, really, which is probably why he doesn't want to get involved. It's now come to the point where unless you've got a lot of chips, you can't play too many drawing hands at this point.
6-4's a raising hand, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, little steal there by Chip Nurse. So what was you thinking there, Tom, with the 6-4?
I thought Quillo would fold.
Well, luckily he didn't have the hand that he's got now. Otherwise you'd be in trouble. Well, you might still be in trouble if you decide to make a button move here. Which...
Can you feel it coming?
I can. I don't blame you. 240, 200, fair enough. And you've got out of here pretty cheap, Tom, I was going to say.
How do you know I get out of here?
Well, I assume that you get raised and re-raised.
What makes you think I fold?
Oh, there's a little bird that whispered in my ear just now that you might just.
The sane bird.
Yeah. Oh, this is pretty nasty for... He's got top pair, but it doesn't make any difference. All the money's gone in anyway. And top Harry was doubled up Gullo, who's going to be fairly pleased about that. Don't often get paid with kings. So, we're going to take a little break from Tom's tourney, so don't go too far over, because we're going to come back to that after the break. However, before that, we have got 1 or 2 emails to get through, and this one is from Addy. Okay, so thanks very much for your email, Addy. And he's saying, hi, love the show. I've learned so much from watching you and from your advice over the past 6 months. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I play $1, $2 and $3 sit and goes. Mainly sit and goes. Also some, well, I don't know quite that's what it means. Mainly multi-table tournaments. Last night I came 3rd in a $3 rebuy multi-table tournament and won $277.
Well, hey, fantastic.
Excellent, yeah, that's $3.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good indeed. 90 times his return. That's excellent. So I don't know what you paid for it, but 90 times is pretty good return, isn't it? So my best win to date. Yeah, excellent stuff. Here is my question. I'm in a $1 rebuy multi-table tournament, which has been running for about 1 to 1.5 hours. 1.5 hours. 430 starting players paying 40 places. Blinds are 150, 300, and I have about 9,000 in chips. So he's got about 30 times a big blind, which is above average chip stack, okay? I'm in middle position. First position flat calls a big blind, and I raise 3 times a big blind with ace king of diamonds, okay? I personally, just on that point, I like that so far.
Really?
Yeah, what do you think?
Quite small.
Three times
He's
a big
looking for
blind?
action. He's going to get a call from the under the gun player with that for sure.
Yeah, quite right. I think actually you're right. I think about it now, I like to make it 4 times a big blind in that situation. So the only difference there, Tom, Ade, is 4 times a big blind in that situation. But so far, so good. There is one more caller to my left. The other problem when you're making it 3 times a big blind, you do encourage other people to perhaps call in something a little weaker, like a 10-jack suited and stuff like that, to my left. And first position also then calls 900. Okay, the flop comes down 3 of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 5 of clubs. Okay, so you've got 2 overcards and a nut flush draw. First position pushes all in with 10,000 chips, and I have no reason to think he's bluffing, so put him on jacks or possibly 2 pair. Sounds more like a set to me, doesn't it? Scared of the diamond draw. What would you have done? Go all in and hope for another diamond or fold? And would your decision change if the buy-in was more than $1, say $10? So is he still in a rebuy period? I've missed a point there.
It's an hour and a half, so
no,
I guess
so he's not. So he's not, no. Okay, so it's out of the rebuy period. I don't like to call with that unless I'm looking for a double up. I'm far away from the money. I probably am at that point after an hour and a half. It really depends. Very tough. I think certainly in terms of pure poker, it's not a good call. In terms of pure poker, it's not a good call. However, other considerations are that I could end up playing for another 2 or 3 hours and end up with $2, in sort of 40th place. Is not a very, strong proposition for me in terms of winning. So, for that reason, I might decide to call in order to try and get some chips early on. However, in terms of pure poker, I don't think it would be a good call. What do you think?
Yeah, I do call actually, but for quite a specific reason here. It's because it's a small stakes rebuy tournament, and there's a very good chance, well, not a very good chance, but there's a reasonable chance that third player yet to act behind you, if you go all in, whereas normally in a sort of decent sized comp, you'd say, well, I'll get out of this. He'll say, well, big pot, let's gamble. In we go, any 2 cards can win. And you've got 15 outs there against anything apart from 2 pair of trips. And with that board, I mean, okay, he might have a set, but I think there's a reasonable chance he's actually just got something like ace-jack or king-jack or something in this sort of comp. So, to be honest, even if you're heads up with 15 outs against a pair, you're in excellent shape. Certainly given there's money already in the pot. And with the possibility that the third guy will come in, then, in fact, I gamble there. I do gamble. I mean, you know you're behind. The only decent draw there is the one you've got, so no one's got that. And it's a nut flush draw. If it was a £1,000 comp, it would be different, not because of the money, but because I expect the third player's action to be different in that sort of comp.
Excellent stuff. Okay, so there you have it. There's your answer. So thanks very much for that, Ade, and he does, in fact, call and lose his book as no diamond comes. Anyway, thanks very much, and we shall see you after this short break. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark, Prince Charles Banin, and the one and only, the irrepressible Dr. Tom. So, we were watching you earlier, Tom. Have we got time for email, or should we go straight to you? What do you think?
Entirely up to you, Mark. You're the anchor.
Yeah. Let's go straight to the game then. Let's see what happens. Yeah, absolutely.
King, Queen.
Well, it's not an unraised pot. What are we doing? This is James. James, look what Tom's doing.
You can play King, Queen many ways, Mark.
Not according to James, you can't.
Well, there's 600 in the pot, so...
happy to take it here and now, I guess.
He might have ace-king, but he might not. Let's have a look. Well, I put in 400, and I get called here.
Interesting. He doesn't believe you for the king, huh? He's seeing what you do here. Now, he might decide to come out with a little bet here. No, he's just happy to call and just in case you have got it.
And here I check on the river, Mark, because it's the river principle.
Is this what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you for that, yeah. Especially with that 10 appearing there. 10 of clubs. So, yeah, that makes sense. Could have been calling you of anything there.
And that is the trouble with King Queen, is you never really get, or you often don't get quite as much value from it when you hit your hand as you might, because you're always a little bit nervous about that hand.
Yeah.
And that's one good reason not to play it in the first place.
Well, Skitsy's played the 4s. How would he feel about it? And the problem is he can't really make a bet here without committing himself almost. Because there's already 680 in a pot, so he has to put in over 200 if he's going to have a little stab at it. And this is the problem now. Does he believe Top Harry for it or not? Top Harry has got no fold equity now. He's going to call regardless.
Well played.
Yeah, big bet there from Top Harry. Took a bit of a chance, but it worked out okay for him. He thought, if you've got a jack high and you've checked it to me, you're either very brave or you just haven't got it. Gullo, a bit too early to play this A6, I think. Yes, he throws it away. Skitsy, however, may decide to make a little play with this. No, he doesn't. He is short stacked. He could have done with an extra 120 on top of his stack, take him over that 1,000 mark. But he's probably missed that opportunity. I'm not sure whether one of these guys would have called him or not. Probably tough, isn't it? I'm not sure if they would have called him for the extra 800.
Yeah, he's got a fairly tight image and a fairly card-spaced image, so they probably have let him take it.
Yeah, he really wants to do it now, or we can't really do it any further down the line now, not without having a much bigger hand. Well, he's missed 2 opportunities to nick the 120. Sometimes you do have to try and put yourself out there to try and steal it. Oh, he would have hit with King 7 as well. It would have hit 2 pair. Well,
and here comes a second attempt to semi-bluff the gut shot, but I decline.
How comes you just declined that one?
Because it's an inside straight draw on the turn, so I've got almost no outs. It's so close to a stone cold bluff. Really.
Oh, it is pretty much a bluff, yeah.
Yeah.
You had quite a favourable position though, really, in a way, in as much that you've had one person check who probably hasn't got anything. He's done it checked twice. Steve is now probably worried about what Johan will do, even if he's got any part of that. And because we know we've already established that Johan probably hasn't got anything, it means that you've got good bluffing rights.
It does look good. You're absolutely right, Mark. But my feeling about poker generally is that lots of bets that shouldn't get called do get called, and as long as you've got a reasonable number of outs, that's fine. But if you're very short on outs, then I think in internet poker you're wise to always, when it's marginal, to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And the thing to remember is that we're referring to a situation for general use. I want to say for general use. The players that we're playing here, they know Tom, they know each other reasonably well, so they generally have a decent instinct about each other's game. Of course, when you're playing out there, the thing that Tom is referring to is that in a lot of cases, those kind of guys will call you with a lot less than they should. So this won't happen so much here, but it will certainly happen more so in the outside world. Well, this is pretty nasty, isn't it, for Top Harry? There's no escape there. He's both flop 2 pair.
But with the blinds this high, I think probably just the ace would have been enough for it to go to a showdown.
Well, we can see Catman 41 folding the most. He's the tightest player on the table, and not far behind him is Gullo. Doesn't look like he's been playing that tight, Gullo, but he has. And there's Tom, 22% of hands he's been playing. That's about right, I think. And Johan, who's been pretty active, although he has a lot of hands, he's been playing the most. So that gives you an indication as to how tight or aggressive some players have been playing. Johan not been excessively loose. So you're in a pretty healthy position now, Tom, with your 3,000 chips.
I guess. Never seems enough, though, does it?
No, but you're in a pretty good situation. You've got, just under 20 times a big blind. Well, Jack 10 would like to call this, but he knows that he's behind. And do you want to call when you're behind? The best he can hope for is someone's got a pair, an under pair to his Jack 10, but it could be horribly worse than that if he's got an over pair. So he's got to fold this, I think. Problem being is that he's only got 900 behind him, and he's now really pretty much out of position, so he's relying on hands. And of course, he's about to lose 240 in the next 3 or 4 hands. Maybe the poker gods will smile down on him. Something for everyone here. Johan making top pair, and Steve with the flush draw, and he's decided to take the free card. He wants to semi-bluff it. Trying to get in cheap for his flush, and he's hit it, and surprised that Johan didn't bet there with his top card. It was a pretty nasty looking board. And I would have thought that... and he's folded, did he? Or did he call him? No, I think he did call him, didn't he? Yeah, I think he was just happy to check call that, Johan. Worried that the other guy hit an ace. But you've hit your top card, and you've got to have a little stab at it, I think, otherwise you're letting in all sorts of draws there. Could have had anything. I mean, just think how you'd feel if you had a pair of twos and he let him in and he caught a two on the end. That would have made you very happy. So, will we see Johan had a little bit of a loss? Will he try and maximise his button? He does. And Gullo can't respond here. The hand was just too bad to even contemplate a re-raise. Can't really blame him for that. So Johan's back over the 3,000 mark. Holding a good man down. And Chip Nurse makes a wise fold there. Luckily for him stroke her.
Well, I'm still licking my wounds after folding the ace-10 and not knowing if I've been bluffed out of the pot previous hand.
Pretty nice board that for Gullo, improving on the turn. With the nut flush draw. What do you fancy? What's your thoughts here, Tom? Fold, I take it.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced I was going to play it anyway, to be honest.
Even from the cutoff?
Yeah, I might well have let it go.
Even with that, even if it's checked round to you?
If it's folded around to me, I might still let it go. I'm not sure. I certainly raise or fold, but I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
It's a pretty horrible hand, isn't it?
It is, just you're really relying on position here. You could be doing it with anything.
Yeah. And King 10, well, it's been so long since I've bet, I just feel I need to get back in this game, but my timing's poor. And I have a look at the odds and decide that no.
Yeah, and it's going to cost you too much, even regardless of odds. I think it's costing you 1,200 out of your 2,200.
Yeah.
So basically, your tournament is pretty much at risk if you call this.
But I give them the dwell up. I've no intention of calling there, but I give them the dwell up just to maintain the fiction that I'm only betting with big hands in early position.
So now there are 6 players left, Tom. Has your sort of strategy in your mind changed at all since you first sat down because there was only 6 players?
Yeah, I mean basically the starting values have just drifted down a bit. Ace Jack now is a big hand. I'm happy to at least raise for all my chips, if not call for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
so in terms of card strategy, it's changed. Your values have come down. What about overall strategy in terms of aggression, that type of thing?
Again, I mean, I don't generally in tournaments. I have no particular strategy. A tournament strategy. I mean, I changed my expectations about what my opponents have on the basis of how many of them are out there, and I have got to bet more because, of course, we're six-handed now. But no, nothing really changes. I mean, now people are, some of them are getting quite short-stacked. The pots become a bit more tricky in terms of who's definitely going to call, who can still be pushed out, and so on. So it's a bit more suiting the bet to the opponent's stack size than it was earlier.
Yeah.
But no, it's not really strategy based even at this point. I'm just looking for an opportunity to make a value play.
You didn't fancy re-raising Johan there with the ace-8?
Me? No,
Yeah.
I wasn't happy about folding it at all, but I thought I'm very likely to get called, and if I'm ahead, I'm not far ahead, and I might be behind. I mean, I hate
he's got the odds
now.
to call you, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of fold equity there, so...
So I'm praying to pick up a hand I can nick with.
Yeah. But he's been pretty relentless, hasn't he? He's been raising pretty much every opportunity that he's had in terms of buttons.
He has, and I know he's going to carry on doing it, but until I have to call, I want to be the raiser.
Yeah, of course it's more difficult now because the raises that he is making means that he's almost committing himself to calling.
Oh yeah, if I get involved, that's it. It's going to go to a showdown.
He would have been getting about 3-1 on the previous hand with the ace-8, so he might well have called you.
Big fold, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my bottom spanked a minute ago, raising from that same position. And he had ace-king, but it's interesting that with ace-2, even now, I can lay that down because it's such a bad hand, and when it gets called, it's always either just ahead or a long way behind. So I let it go. Later position or slightly fewer chips in my stack, I move.
Well, just as a reminder, Tom, tomorrow we've got a new site that's coming along. It's the Purple Lounge, and they're starting off their Poker Night Live show, if you like, with a first tournament, which is going to be a free roll tournament where the winner gets $1,800 of free wine. How's that for a free roll? It's pretty good.
Oh, I might just sit down in that one.
Yeah, for a free roll, why not? Absolutely, so that should be good fun.
Yeah.
So that's going to be shown on Poker Night Live, so it'll be interesting to see who wins that wine. And the key here, Tom, really, isn't it, is that what you want to do is head back onto the tables looking for this guy about 4 hours later, once he's received stock of his wine. Track him down.
Yeah, if I win it, don't expect me to turn up for work for a few months. I'm getting a bit naffed off about having to fold these sorts of hands, Mark.
Yeah, you've had to do it a lot of times, haven't you? There's sort of these mediocre type hands, and well, you won't be folding this, I'm sure. And what will he put another raise in here? It wouldn't surprise. No, he doesn't. The one time that you want him to do it, and had he have had any kind of hand whatsoever, I'm sure he would have done. Any 2 cards above a 7. And you just want the money in the middle, I take it. Are you trying to make it look like a steal, or did you just want the money in the middle?
I don't mind being called, but I don't want to play a flop unless all my chips are in the middle.
Right.
And then I know I'm ahead. But I think I lose equity by letting him see a flop. But I show the tens.
You didn't want to make it cheaper for him to call? You didn't want to make it 640 or 1,000 or something like that?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think on average I'm going to lose. I'm going to win less than 480 certainly than I win, but just by taking it there and then.
Yeah.
But I do show the hand so that I can show that I'm betting reasonable hands, and so I can increase the chance of not getting called with even a reasonable hand later. I still don't want to be called.
Okay. Well, it's all about timing, Tom, isn't it? We can see 5 hands here, and they're all pretty gruesome. And first to bet will take it, and no one's going to do it. Well, hard now, because the problem being is that whilst we've got a better structure, it still means that you're pretty much committed at this point to any particular raise.
Do you move all in there with ace-6 off under the gun?
No, not unless I really have to, and I don't think I really have to at that point.
Yeah. Trouble is, I can see the blinds are going to go up pretty much when I get the button, so it was a sort of key hand there. I could have played it.
Yeah, no, I think not ace-6 I wouldn't have done. Not under the gun, I'd rather do it from a later position with a worse hand.
I agree. I mean, 5-handed, it's starting to look much better, but you just don't want to bet that hand.
Yeah, you can still put people off. That's the thing. You've still got 1,200 or so, 1,500 after this, and the blinds are only 160, 320.
Yeah, but they're going next hand.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the key figure. That's perhaps why I thought I should have bet it.
Oh, okay. Then that's different. Then yes, maybe there's more calls for betting it then in that case.
But then, even with a 2.5 times the big blind raise, if that's all you've got, you can still get people to fold if they've got filth.
Yeah, it's really about picking the right person. The problem is they've all got sort of 3,000, and they'll all probably pretty much feel that they have no fold. I mean, this guy might be able to fold for the extra 800 if you put to bet here.
Exactly,
but that's about it.
It's pretty unlikely, and with 8-5 I can't move.
No. So you basically just decided to wait for a hand now, in effect.
or basically if I'm in on the big blind, I'll probably call with anything unless it's down to 4-handed by then.
Yeah. That's interesting, because this guy's made it 1,200 and he's folded. He hasn't called for the extra 6.
Strange.
Yeah, but there again, he knows with you that that's the maximum he's in for. isn't it? So whereas Gullo, he could be in for a lot more. So he made a move here, and that's fair enough. Does Steve? He's decided to. What a flop! Yeah, he decided to. Oh, quads! Oh dear. There's timing for you, Tom.
I'd rather have them in 2 lots of 2 instalments.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that worked out okay, and by you not giving your opponents much fold equity, it's worked out in your favour.
Yeah. So it goes, but Steve Talbot, I think, was right to call there.
Yeah, 800. The only problem was is that it's still that 800 is still affecting him, isn't it?
It is affecting for sure. It really damages his stack, but he's got clear pot odds there against the sort of hands I'd be betting with, and I can't get beyond that myself. There's plenty of luck in a sit and go, to be honest.
Yeah. You see, with that, I'm not that convinced. That's the thing. I mean, I have got King 8, so, and you are in a desperate situation, so I'll probably do call 2, I think. If I had a worse hand, then I'm not sure I would. If I had sort of 7 high or something, 7-6 or something like that, I probably wouldn't.
I mean, his logic is if I'm prepared to consider calling with a King 8, then probably other people are as well. And so by hanging around waiting for a better stealing opportunity, well, if they're going to be calling with rubbish like this, then I need to call myself with rubbish like this because I need to get the big chip increase.
Well, things have improved for you a little bit now. Now Catman has moved all in, and Steve Talbot, he's thinking about again with his King 8. And he's thinking, well, 1,500 to me is a lot, and it's definitely not a call for me. No, he doesn't. Well done, Gullo. That was a decent fold. The reason it was a decent fold, whilst you could easily afford it, you're on a small blind next, plus the 1,500. It means you'll be back down to 1,600 in potentially a world of trouble.
Well, I wanted to bet this hand, not call with it, but I'm not folding it, obviously.
No.
So in it goes.
Yeah.
And I'm a little surprised.
You didn't fancy going all in here?
Yeah, I meant to. I thought the raise would put me all in, but I just mistyped it. But it makes no difference. Everyone knows I'm going all in.
Yeah. Do you think he would have called for the extra 5?
Well, I think he's crazy to change his decision because, I mean, he can't push me out the pot when it's that big.
No. Yeah, it's a bit different, though, to calling with it, isn't it? Because he's seen it as a smaller amount. I don't know.
If he calls there and he folds in any situation, once the cards come out, he's made a wrong decision. So to call in the first place, contemplating a fold, is madness. When I put in the slightly under the all-in bet, to be honest, I didn't expect it to make any difference to what I didn't expect it to make any difference to what anyone was thinking.
No. Do you think it played a bit of a mind game with him, the fact that it was done in two lots, if you like?
Well, apparently, because I don't think Queen Jack is a calling hand if I go all in, and as I say, by mostly going all in, I effectively was going all in. So I don't think it's.
Yeah. Well, Gullo, it would be interesting to hear from you why you actually decided to call with a Queen Jack for what was a significant part of your chip stack. You know, 2/3 of your chip stack, a bit more even, I think. So I don't know why Queen Jack you'd want to do that.
Now, Johan gave me some grief here because he just calls, and I've got an opportunity here to call for 500 and significantly increase the chances of Gullo getting knocked out. But I fold. And the reason why I fold is that Johan Haren, rightly or wrongly, I think he might raise me once the cards come out. So there's no guarantee that he will implicitly collude with me and we'll both check it down to the river to increase our chances of getting in the money. If I was sure that my opponent was going to... If I was 6-4, if I was sure that my opponent was going to do that, I'd happily come in. But unfortunately, Johan's image there of being a sort of rammer and jammer of the pot meant that I decided to let it go.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. Not with 6-4.
I'd certainly call if I think the guy's going to check with me, he's going to play ball with me. But I wasn't convinced Johan would. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't do it because of the cards, to be honest with you. I didn't like the idea of 6-4.
Oh, I didn't mind the cards. I thought they were live. It's just I couldn't stand a raise from Johan, and I didn't know there wasn't going to be one. But I'm sure I was getting odds.
Certainly, I'm sure you were. You were definitely getting odds.
Yeah, and plus, of course, the equity from knocking Gullo out.
Yeah, yeah, very true. But at the same token, you could be giving him equity by tripling him up.
Ah, no, yeah, but it's better to call for sure, though, provided you know you're not going to be raised off it by Johan. Well,
this is an easy fold there for Catman, although he was putting Chip Nurse in a world of pain if he did call. Ace-5 against a pair of 5s. And Chip Nurse is now looking very strong. So you've zoomed into the lead.
Yeah, three-way pot did it.
And Johan Can't really call now. He's thinking about it, but can't really call for so many of his chips with that hand. No one's picked up anything here. Will Catman have a go at it? He does, wow, with the king 4.
I've been playing very tight, I don't blame him at all.
Yeah. Still chancy, but still he's worked out okay. Just shows you how things can change, Tom. 1 minute you're on 6-4, next minute you're on 5,000.
Unfortunately I have to fold because I'm pretty certain I'm going to get called because Gullo's got half his chips in the middle. So I fold the dominating hand there.
Oh dear, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just lucky that
Yep.
that's happened.
That Johan bet.
And just in case there was any uncertainty about it, the extra king comes, and that's 3 kings he's had in this tournament. And how many hands do we have?
I think he's made a set with them at least twice as well.
Yeah, I think we've only had what? It's an 8-handed table, goes around 12 hands. Not sure, we've probably had about 100 hands or so.
Unfortunately, I'm not the chip leader, and there's still 4 of us left, so it's slightly undesirable, this situation. And I'm pleased to see these players fold, so I can devour Gullo on my own if it's going to be the case, but obviously on this occasion he does the devouring, he bites my toenails off. And he just won't lie down, this guy.
Fortunately, it didn't cost you a lot. You did get some money back. As you was already all in for 280, and the blinds away more than that, as we can see. Well, the pair of 4s is a solo move, and unfortunately for Chipnose, he can't call. And you would have been in a good situation there, but would it have improved? Yep, you just hit your 5, and you hit your flush. So, Catman takes it instead, and at least he's happy to have knocked out that player. And, oh, this could be nasty.
It could be.
And it, well, Catman didn't think too long about that one. I can't blame him. Johan's going to sit back. Running cards required for Chip Nurse, and that's not one of them, and it's no outs. So Chip Nurse, unfortunately, with a strong hand, just unfortunate to hit those pair of aces. And I thought you've played pretty well so far, Tom, because it's been very hard when you've got people with kings and aces around you all the time.
Not looking too good, all in, and no joy in the river. So fortunately, just the right side of the bubble.
Yeah, yeah. But unfortunate that three-handed you have king, jack, and someone's got aces.
Yeah, that's that's the hand that plays itself.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Not a lot you can do in that situation. Well, blinds are very high now, 641 to 80. So there's not much play here. It's just a case of going all in and who's prepared to do it more often and who's prepared to fold more often. And we know Johan's not going to sit back. He's going to pretty much do it every other hand. He'll certainly do it here if Catman makes any note. And he's now got the initiative. Yeah, he's getting the hands as well, isn't he, Tom? He's getting aces and stuffs when he needs it. And Catman is thinking, oh, what am I going to do here? Well, yeah. I think he has to go all in next hand, Catman, regardless.
Yeah, that's good enough.
He can't just keep giving away 2,000. And he wins back. That keeps himself in the running. That was good timing, and that's all it is now. Just about timing. You can't afford to let too many of these go. It's just a case that someone's eventually going to call you, isn't it? It's just a case of when it's your turn to go act first, you go all in. There's not many opportunities for you to fold. And you've just got to hope that your opponent folds every now and again.
With the extra chips, for the first time, the top level of the blinds, which is what we've reached, we've still got reasonable decisions to be made, because certainly when the chips are evenly distributed, people have got five, six big blinds. So we are going to see much longer heads up back and forths now with the bigger chip count at the start. We haven't seen this for a long time on Poker Night Live. Such a protracted fight at the top level of the blinds. Now, I think Catman might well defend with this.
Think so?
Well,
I don't think I would like to defend.
It's a terrible hand, but Johan Haren's bet pretty much every single hand. when he's been in the small blind. Ah.
Oh, hits it on the end, yeah. Not sure I would have defended with Queen 7, maybe Queen 10.
Yeah, most people I'd fold to, but I might have called Johan Haran there myself.
Yeah. Well, Catman might decide to make a move, and I think he's going to get a call here. He does. He needs a 10 or an 8.
10's no good.
Oh no, 10's no good. No, that's it. It's all over. It's straight, and there's no more outs. So yeah, quite right. He's only drawing 2 and 8. That was a pretty nasty flop for him, actually. Only drawing 2 and 8 after that.
So the guy with all the chips at the start took it. Sometimes that is the way.
Yeah, he went on and on and on, didn't he? There's no stopping him.
Well done, Johan.
Yeah, well done. Very good indeed. Very good indeed. Excellent stuff. So I think we've got some emails, Tom. Mm-hmm. And this one is from Mish. Mish Chip Nurse.
But Chip Nurse was just playing.
Oh, well.
She's emailing as well? What does she say?
Yeah. Well, let's have a look what she says. She says, "Hi, guys. Let's have a look. She was playing on a TV table with the likes of Hoofy and Balrog. She's saying, hoping you have a fun night. Tell Doc I'm not happy that he used my account, even though he came third. He's not good enough to be using my account just yet. Maybe in time, but not quite yet."
It's true, she came second last night. I only managed a third.
Yeah.
I'll try and do better next time, Night Nurse.
Yeah, I think she might have a point there, Tom.
She has.
Yeah, okay. So he's listened to you. He won't do it again. Anyway, thanks very much for that, Mish. Hope you're having a good night and winning lots of money. Email from Richard, and Richard's saying, "Hi, Mark." He doesn't want to refer to you, Tom. He's just saying, "Hi, Mark." "I'm fairly new to poker, but learning fast. I previously played mostly no-limit sit and goes, but I've recently been trying to build up experience in pot limit, okay, and do okay until the blinds start murdering me. What advice do you have for playing pot limit? Cheers." I assume he's obviously talking about tournaments, if the blinds are murdering him. What's the difference mainly between playing no limit and pot limit tournaments, Tom?
To be honest, not a huge amount. I mean, you're going to face certain situations more often in pot limit. You're more likely to find a multi-way pot on the flop, for example, because no one can overbet. So just that many more pots end up giving value. Once 2 people have called a pot size bet, then the rest might as well. So you see a few more multi-way flops, and of course players who don't know what they're doing and a disadvantage because they can't make the all-in, massive all-in no-limit bet. But really, in the same game, especially when the blinds start to get big, which is the situation you're describing, there's no difference at all. In a pot limit game, if you've only got 10, 12 big blinds, there's really not much difference at all, because if you put in a sensible bet, then you're going to end up being committed to the pot.
Yeah, pretty much what Tom says. I think the only thing different I'd add to that is just the fact that bear in mind that pot limit is a bit more of a drawing game, especially in the beginning stages, so you get a bit more chances to see and play flops because you're not being bet out of it. It is a case of I think in pot limit, towards the end, you have to start increasing your aggression. But there is various different ways you can do it, and timing is obviously very important, like it is in no limit. But just have to pick your moments a little more carefully, that's all. Well, don't wait too long to do that in pot limit, because, like you said, the blinds will just end up murdering you. However, it's time to go to our multi-table tournament, and we've got a final table to behold. So let's have a look what's going on.
Behold ye.
Well, we're in the final stages of it.
No, we've got no SJ Dooberys.
No, they've all gone.
Oh, what a shame. I wanted to see if that affected the play. I mean, if you're going to put bounty on the players or on some heads of players, you should get decent players in, I think, not these SJ Muppets. So, yeah, four-handed here, blinds 300, 600, and there is an exceptionally large amount of chips in play.
Yeah, it's excellent, isn't it? They've all got about 100 times a big blind. We don't see that often, do we, Tom?
Amazing. I wonder if the bounty business has massively increased the number of confrontations and showdowns because people are trying to knock out the bounty players. And so a whole load of people have got caught in the crossfire, in the collateral damage, and that's why we find ourselves with only 4 players at a relatively early state of the blinds.
No, I was going to say, Tom, that there's something very strange going on because...
They've gone up to 2,000, 4,000. They've missed a few levels, haven't they, on this comp?
I think the information was incorrect because if you remember, when we left it last time with 18 players or 17 players, there was the blinds were 300, 600. Okay. So to still be that, something's not quite right. But anyway, the blinds are in fact 2,000, 4,000, which makes more sense. And
Yeah, 15 big blinds for the big stack. Not a big stack at all. In fact, they're rather small.
No, he's got more now, isn't he? He's got 95,000 Emma at the bottom there. She's
Oh
almost
yeah,
got,
Emma's
about
big stack,
24, 23 times a big blind.
That's right. But her bet size, of course, limited by the next biggest stack. So fairly straightforward push or fold poker now, isn't it? Not much skill in it.
Yeah, Fana was doing quite well until that last time we just saw him lose. But he's looking pretty strong here, although he's got a world of pain, isn't he? He's about to push. He's not going to let it go, is he, as well? He's committed now to the pot. He's saying, I'm going to die on this hand. And he needs some help. He's got, he's got nothing now. He needs a 9, and 9 only. Doesn't appear. So Fana played a pretty good game. He finished in 4th position. So well done, Fana. Just to give you some updates as to where everyone came. In 10th place was OB1 Tom. 9th, where we saw a little glimpse of earlier, was Gar W Boy.
Ah, he called me a loser in the chat box.
That's not very nice.
That's very rude, isn't it? He's railbirding the game. He's not even playing. And when I come out 3rd, he calls me a loser.
Yeah, that's very rude, isn't it?
Very rude, Gar.
Yeah. Well, how about you there, Gar Boy? You only finished 9th. Tom finished 3rd.
I think bad behaviour should be named and shamed, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, bad boy. Bad boy, not Gar Boy. Anyway, 8th, one Swinger. 7th was Wizzy One.
That's very honest of 8th.
And 6th was SJ Poker Team. So one of the SJ Poker teams got in 6th. I wonder who knocked him out.
Oh, I take it back then. They have got some players.
Yeah. 5th came Super Grand, who we saw getting quite active earlier. And as we just saw, Fana went out in 4th. So 3 more places to aim for. Be interesting to see where they all end up. This particular tournament that you're watching started with 58 runners. They all got 1,500 in chips. It was a $5 rebuy, and there were some bounties in play. $50 bounties for anyone looking out one of the SJ Poker Team.
So, interesting situation here because although they're not chipped up, they've certainly got enough chips to conceivably play the waiting game and move up the prize money. What is the jump from 3rd to 2nd and 2nd to 1st?
Okay, well, just to give you some info on that, 4th was, who Fana just went out, got $75.52. 3rd got $99.37. 2nd will get $159. And 1st will get $238. So it jumps quite nicely there.
So it jumps 60 bucks to 2nd, and then
78.
Yeah, 80 bucks, let's say. Okay, so in fact, it's a fairly smooth escalation. I think they should play for basically 1st here.
Yeah, certainly there's a decent jump, isn't there, from 3rd to 1st? Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of equity in coming in 1st. Certainly might be fancying a little gamble. So 3 players remaining. So we've got an interesting little thing developing here between these 3 players. They've all got a lot of chips. They've all got a fair amount of play now, about 20 times a big blind each on average. So no one's in a desperate situation. So I would like to see a bit more cooling actually with some of these players. Now that they've actually got some play, let's call a little bit more. Situation. 3-handed with a fair amount of play. Why not call and see what you can do? Well, best in shows flop top pair, and everyone's having a little crack at it. And best in shows saying, well, I've got top 2 pair. In fact, if you can beat that, great. And once again, I think Best in Show has lost a bit of equity there. He's had an opportunity. He's had a very strong hand, three-handed, two-pair. And I don't think that all-in was quite the right move there. I think giving Emma another chance to bluff at it on the turn would have been the right move. Especially as you had position as well. If you didn't have position, then maybe you want to put in some kind of raise. But when you've got position, let the person have another go at it, thinking that you're on some kind of draw. Well, Ace-King against King-Queen. Oh, not good for Em. Em is, I think, about to be our third-place finisher unless she catches a queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no escape now. Yeah, an ace will save her, possibly, but no, it's not going to happen. Best in Show says, thank you. He's not even a queen of spades now will help. So, just got worse and worse for Emma, and a bit very unfortunate. You've got King-Queen against Ace-King, three-handed. It's a decent hand. But that's a situation you really want to avoid, and very unfortunate there. So Emma takes third, and with that she takes $99.37. Well played, Emma. Very nice. Came third out of 58 runners. Not an easy thing to do. So we're playing for $238 here for first, $159 for second. Who's going to get it?
Gut shot. 9 high. Look at these daredevils.
Yeah. Best in Show using the most out of... It's interesting, isn't it? He's played very much what I would call a survival game, in as much that when he's hit his hand, he's overbet his hand generally, even when his holding is pretty strong. And he's now in a very favourable position. He's got top pair against another top pair, but much better kicker. And he's probably going to go all in here. No, he doesn't. He's just raised.
That's a good bet, because if he goes all in, his opponent might get away from it. That's a great
But
fold
you,
for
you
Feckless.
say that.
How does he make it?
This is the interesting thing. Best in Show a moment ago had ace-3, and it came ace-3-x. And yet he just went all in. He wouldn't say he went all in. The guy made a small bet, and he just went over the top.
Yeah, that's daft, but his bet there was right, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Because he was giving Feckless a chance to protect a hand that, in fact, was dominated with a big re-raise.
Yeah, that was an interesting fold there from Feckless, wasn't it?
Yeah, great fold. Don't know how he makes it.
No.
I mean, in fact, I'm tempted to say it was a bad fold. I mean, given the information he's got, can he put down there?
No, I don't think so.
It's true there was no draw, but Best in Show's re-raise, could there just be a very small attempt to find out if middle pair was good?
Absolutely, that's exactly what it could be. It could be, and it's a sort of move a lot of people will make with middle pair to see whether their middle pair is actually any good or not. Asking, are you actually stealing with nothing? So yeah, that was. I'm tempted to side with you on that one. I think over in the long run, that's not such a good fold in that circumstance, but we shall see. Best in Shadow has nothing at the moment. He's put out a bet. Feckless is probably just going to throw his chips in here, I think. I don't blame him for that. He's got a weak king. He's got no spades. And Best in Show is looking as if he can find some kind of draw with his Jack-7, but of course we can see there's only a runner would help him, and decided he doesn't want to chase that. Well, 3-7 against 9-7, and Feckless doesn't want to play. That's strange. Doesn't want to play his 9-7 suited. I think I would have liked to have played. It's only 3,000. I've got chips to play with. Well, this is interesting. Queen 5 has called. Feckless is going to raise. Made it 18. And he's flat call now. The only problem is he doesn't know where he is anymore. So what's Feckless going to do? Best in Show has figured him for an ace now that he's made that raise. And Feckless, well, he decided that if you've got it, then I'm just bad luck. He's called with a Queen 5. How can you call that, Tom, with a queen 5 on a 9-6-3 board?
He's taken a view, as they say.
A view to what? That he's got less than queen high?
A view to a kill? A view to Harry Kiri?
Yeah, I don't think that was an interesting call, for want of a better word. Well, let's hit bottom pair for Feckless. Now, he's got some momentum here, where he's made a straight now. So he's not going to be folding this regardless. Will he try and let Best in Show have a bluff at it?
Not a great board to bluff in.
Well, I don't know. It's a pretty good board to have a bluff at, I think.
Representing the 10.
Well, representing any part of that, and you'd be scared unless you've got the 10.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be. You'd be tempted to fold a jack there in that situation, or whatever the other pair was. So it's just a scary board, isn't it? So unless you've got two pair or an ace, it's very hard to call, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. Against someone who's certainly prone to folding, it's scary. Someone who's prone to calling, it's the other way around, because they've probably got something.
Yeah. Well, pair of twos. Oh, he's been re-raised. Wow, Feckless had the best hand, and Best in Show re-raised him. I think I would have been more prepared to check raise that one myself. But Feckless came out betting, and there was nothing wrong with it. He wasn't guaranteeing that Best in Show was going to bet there, so he probably wanted to take it with his pair of twos. Queen 9 against King 9. Wow. Best in Show is asking whether his middle pair is any good again, and Feckless said yes, it is. In fact, it was almost the same. It has a slight pip above him. Queen 9 against King 9, so Feckless made a good fold. Well, back and forward this one goes. Feckless has lost about 40,000 chips in the last few hands. He may feel a bit under pressure. He's got about just under 12 times a big blind. Oh, I like this hand. So I had a limp in here. Let's play a flop. Well, that's a pretty good flop for a pair of eights. Not when Best in Show has the 2 6s though. 3 6s rather. So it's curtains now for Feckless. It was looking very good for him. And the jack might save him. And Best in Show now is not trying to scare him off. He's trying to invite him in. And he has, and I dare say Best in Show will give him pop him a little raise. How much can he get out of him? He thinks he can get the whole lot out of him, and he has. So Best in Show, heads up, played it very differently to how he was playing before. He wasn't taking any more chances. Earlier on, he was a bit scared of taking too many chances, and at the end there, he took a few chances, and it worked out nicely for him. So played very well, I thought, overall.
Very nice, yeah, good job,
Yeah.
and especially getting all those chips in the middle on that final hand.
Okay, we've got a few emails, Tom, to go through. I'll go through one from Smooth Cut. Hi guys, can you settle an argument on our table? What's the difference between bluffing and representing? Thank you, and good show as well. Obligatory comments made.
Please always, when you text in questions to Mark, have obligatory in there, because it does make me laugh.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. Obligatory, there you are.
It's a great question, and not one I've heard, but it's certainly a good question.
Okay, so what is the difference, Tom?
Well, one is a subset of the other. When you bluff in poker, what you're doing is just putting a bet, hoping your opponent will fold. So you're turning a losing hand into a winning hand by preventing your opponent calling when you bet. But generally, in order to bluff successfully, you should represent. That's to say that you are representing some specific hand. Say, for example, there are 3 diamonds on the board, you may be representing a flush. If there are 4 diamonds on the board, then it's all about the flush. And if your opponent folds, it's because he thinks you've got a better flush than him. You can represent pre-flop. If you've played very tight and someone bets, you can raise representing a big pocket pair, when in fact you've just got 7-8 suited. So most bluffs should be specific representations. When you come across someone who's really, really lame and will fold to just about anything, you don't need to represent anything, because he just loves folding. So you just bet he folds easy. But against decent players, you have to convince them specifically that you have some sort of hand. Sometimes strength will do it. You can just show strength because you think they're weak, but generally you're pretending you've got a hand. So representing is a way of bluffing.
Yeah, excellently put there, but Tom, nothing I can really add to that. Email from, thanks very much for that, Smooth Cut. Email from Ian Hardy, and Ian is asking, Improved my game a lot from watching. Just wondering if you guys could estimate the rough odds of the following. I was dealt queens in a local no-limit hold'em tournament, and due to rising blinds and being on a short stack, I went all in. I was called by someone holding ace-jack. As a queen appeared on the turn, I had to hand one. However, the table in the hall we were playing the game on collapsed, and the board and the deck beside it all turned over and all mixed up everywhere, so the hand was nullified. Anyway, I went out shortly later, so I was a bit miffed at my queens failing to a dodgy table. Am I right in saying the odds of happening must be into the millions? Regards. Well, funny enough, Ian, I've played probably, let's say, I reckon maybe 500 tournaments, let's say, overall in my career. And it's actually happened twice where the table was actually, so really the odds are about 250 to about 249 to 1. So it's not millions, really.
Well, I've been really lucky, Mark.
No, I'm only joking. It didn't really happen that way. It probably is in the millions, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you'll find those odds anywhere in Mike Caro's book of big odds. But, yeah, well, you'd have probably got outdrawn or, I don't know, mugged. Who knows?
Yeah.
Look on the bright side.
Yeah. Is there one? I don't think so. Anyway, thanks very much for that, Ian. Unlucky. Email from Julian. Evening, chaps. Just wondering what the odds are of hitting a flush draw with only one of your whole cards being of that suit. I've been losing a lot of all-in to this kind of plays recently, and it seems to happen so many times. Well, I'm pleased to say the good doctor has actually worked it all out for you, and the answer was, Tom?
Yeah, it's not entirely clear what your question is. I'm not sure whether you're saying what's the chance of making a backdoor flush, or what is the chance of you catching three of a suit when you've got one of that suit in your hand. So you've got ace-king and it's offsuit, and catching three suited cards. What did I work it out? I decided the way to work it out was that, say you've got one club in your hand and you're hoping to make three on the flop, that there's 12 cards out of 50 that will help you on the first card that's dealt out on the board. There's 11 out of 49 cards that will help you as the second card coming down, and 10 out of 48 on the third card that will give you that flush draw. So you just multiply those fractions together, 12 divided by 50 times 11 divided by 49 times 10 divided by 48, and it comes out as, what was it?
88 to 1.
There you go, 88 to 1 is what I reckon.
Okay, excellent. Yes, it was correct. Email from Ollie very quickly. Hi, gents. Dr. Tom, I hear you are the man to talk about monkeys. There are many difficulties presented to the online poker addict that I believe can be solved in only two ways. A diligent, and I don't think we've got time for this, unfortunately. Did you have any answer for him? Yeah,
monkeys, gorilla Benjai, Western Lowland gorilla if you've got bankroll problems, Autus nivigirdis, night monkey because he keeps awake at night, Telius paniscus, very good guy to have at the computer because with his long tail he can get a beer out of the fridge.
Okay, time to go now, I'm afraid. So on that note, good night.